This podcast is part of the Planet Broadcasting Network.
Visit planetbroadcasting.com for more podcasts from our great mates.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Do Go On. My name is Dave Warnicky and I'm here in the studio with Matt Stewart and Jess Perkins. And what's that? I spy a special guest, Mr. Nick Mason.
Hey, it's Mason.
It's great to be here.
Yes.
Hey, Mason, just a quick question. What are you doing for Block?
Off for Blockbuster Tober.
Yeah.
Well, I've been listening to every episode of your podcast for Blockbuster Tober.
Well, that is surprising and a beautiful
I'm
gesture.
a big fan.
Yeah.
I enjoyed your, most recently, I enjoyed the War of the Worlds episode. That's
Oh,
a great episode.
yeah.
what
that's
an
a lot of fun.
episode.
Would you like to hear a fact about the War of the Worlds radio play?
No,
Yes.
thanks.
And that, no, that's fair. No, that's
No,
right.
sorry, I didn't answer. I'd like to hear it. So two
Okay.
against one. Sorry,
All right,
Jess.
well, there we go. Well, it could be a fun fact. You'll have to.
I'll decide.
So the War of the Worlds radio play and the subsequent the panic that it caused.
The drama.
Did you know it happened again?
What?
Yeah, it happened again.
With the musical?
No, in 1949 in Ecuador, a radio station did it again, and basically what happened is they played the radio play again, like their version of the radio.
Oh, so they did it Orson Welles. It
No,
wasn't
they-
all in English, and they're all thinking, "What the hell is
What
that?"
is this? It's just confusing.
insane.
Everybody turned off. It was a real ratings disaster. But no, they did it, and they had like people on board, like actors on board who would imitate the mayor. And the mayor, the mayor was involved and was like, "Oh, this is a real disaster. I don't understand what's happening. There's an invasion, kind of thing." And
This is definitely not a radio play.
and the army who heard that it was happening and heard the mayor was saying that there was they went to the north of the town to investigate.
No one's told us in person, but I assume this radio station is how I'd find out as the general.
And then eventually the people at the radio station figured out what was happening and they were like, "Okay, just letting you know, this is a trick. This is a hoax. We just did it as a bit of fun."
That's their first big mistake. What they should have done was send down a Black Thunder with
Icy
icy cold cans of Coke.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
that could have
Yeah.
just,
But apparently there were people in the streets, like people were running to church to like confess, like because they,
So the priest got some mad gossip that day.
Well, apparently there were like men confessing that they'd committed adultery to their wives.
I never loved you anyway, Mary.
And anyway, so that the radio station was like, "Okay, we apologize," but at that point there was a mob of people in the streets who went to the radio station.
that's when
and
you get the
burned it
Cokes
down.
out.
Yeah.
They burned it down.
They actually did.
They burned it down because it was a radio station, and below that was the newspaper printing press for the town, and they lit it on fire.
Yeah,
And they
newspaper
burned-
is great kindling.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh,
Pretty good, right?
Jeez, that's
Wow.
unlucky.
Yeah.
Never build on top of a newspaper
No, that's
printing
true.
press.
Would you like
unless-
to know another fact about the War of the Worlds radio play and the subsequent?
Oh
panic
no,
involved?
Maso's very quickly doing a better job than you did, Dave.
Oh no!
It's just this is a shorter
sorry,
one.
Mason. I'm going to change my yes to a no.
Okay, never mind. All right, people at home, do your own research. It's not difficult.
Now, what was the other one?
Oh, it happened again.
Wait, the third time?
Yeah, 1968. Happened again in Buffalo, Montana.
Buffalo.
Yeah.
When will people learn?
No, they've.
But was anything burnt down this time?
No, nothing got burnt
Because
down
I
this
kind of
time.
enjoy how that escalated.
Yeah, right.
But
Yeah.
also, if I think the world's about to end,
Yeah.
I'm not going to be like, I cheated on you. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to let it go. I reckon.
Fair enough.
Yeah, you take that to the grave. That kind of
Fuck
shit.
Yeah.
But the problem would be is that if you think that you need to ask for forgiveness to get into heaven, then you offload it all.
That's
But
true,
I also
yeah.
don't think that's the right environment to sit down and discuss and ask for forgiveness. You know?
No, you don't need it from them. You need it from Jesus.
And the
So just
Martians.
ask him when you
And
get
the
there.
Martians, yeah.
Yeah.
You won't get there, Jess. That's the point.
Well, I'm never
And
going to anyway.
Billy Easelbub is not so good at the forgiveness, okay?
Okay.
Talking from experience.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I listen to metal.
You take a sip of water. Yeah, very cool.
From my goblet.
Yes. Skull goblets.
Yes. Anyway, so this is week 4 of Blockbuster
That's
Tober
right.
for Grace Jones period. And
Maguire.
Jerry Maguire.
sorry,
Show me the money.
And
Show me the money.
have to say it 3 times.
Show me the money. Sorry, Matt. That's only 2 times from me personally.
But then Tom Cruise
Show-
turns
Show
up in
me
the mirror.
money.
Something.
You had me at hello.
Oh my god, this is going to be a nightmare episode. It is. Sorry, Meso. Thanks so much for dropping in. I'm so sorry that you have to see us like this.
I
But
love it. I love it.
He
Front row
loves
seats.
us. He loves us at our worst.
That's right.
and
yeah.
if you don't love us at our worst,
Don't
fuck
deserve
off.
You. Well,
Are we?
no, see, this is you at your worst, and I love you at your worst.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
fine. Yeah.
You are a sweet man. So, week 4 of Blockbuster Tober, as we've been saying since the start, this is our most ever requested topic, and it is with Mr. Meso.
Oh, my
do
goodness.
you have a question to get
I
us
do
on
have a
topic?
question. I do
I mean,
have a
it is
question.
pretty silly as we all know what it is.
Well, you guys
but-
all know what it is, but
No, I'll still
and
have a crack.
I was going to say you guys all know what it is, but the listeners don't know what it is. But the episode title says what it is.
Yeah,
some
we
of
all
them,
know.
some of them play without looking.
Yeah, really.
That's
Yeah.
ballsy.
Yeah, that is ballsy. Okay, well, here's a question for the 2 people who are not who play this Russian roulette with episode titles.
And can I get it? Because someone emailed in saying that they've added up all the times we've answered, and I actually get it right the least.
Oh,
Really?
That's fascinating.
I would not have guessed that.
Amazingly
Who
so.
gets it the most?
I would have said you the most, Jess the least. Is it the
I
opposite
think
of
it might
that?
be the exact opposite.
Exact opposite.
I don't
Fascinating.
get it the most.
Hey, a scientist emailed in, Jess.
I would have thought it would be you that gets it the most. Look at us all backing each
She was
other.
pointing at Matt then.
I go with the most bravado, but I don't think I often get it right.
So I need to improve my stats here,
I
people.
feel so smart.
Well, let's
there you
see.
go. Yeah. Also, who's this guy adding up all the questions? I mean, good on you.
Should
I
know.
love
You
the
really should
interaction,
get.
you know?
Can you find out his name by the end of the episode, Dave?
Yes, I'll do some investigating.
Okay, so here's the question.
Yes.
For the 2 or 3 people that. Okay, so in the 1960s, the actor who portrayed this character was kicked out of an orgy because he refused to break character. What character was it? And can you guess the actor? I'm sure you can.
I reckon it's.
Orgy Phil,
It's Orgy Phil, yeah. Hmm.
played
what's
by
his name?
Dennis Hopper.
It's Batman,
It is Batman, yes, correct.
and also I think maybe the Joker or the Riddler,
It was the Riddler, yeah, that's true.
and I can't remember either. Adam West,
Adam West was Batman, yeah.
and who was the Riddler?
The Riddler was Frank Gorshin, who was
Oh,
was
the
an actor-
Gorsh.
the Gorsh, an actor and a stand-up comedian. So apparently,
And a bloody sex man.
Pest.
yeah.
Oh, hang on, whoa.
Whoa!
I guess, yeah, no, being the Riddler at an orgy is a
Getting
bit
kicked
pesty.
out of an
that's true.
orgy
Yeah.
implies your behaviour isn't welcome.
Oh, okay. So
I guess that's
ye
probably
with
true,
the
yeah.
first stone cast it at my glass house again.
Never been kicked out of the orgy, have I? I've been given warnings,
Strong warnings.
but never actually kicked
Written
out.
warnings.
Never rejected.
Okay.
Red card. You were given the red
I
card.
gave her a cut. I had a timeout,
Yeah,
but I was
Sinned
allowed
in.
back in
Your parents were contacted.
after I said sorry nicely, like I meant it.
Oh, well.
Did you ever get that
played.
when you were a kid? Sometimes,
you
like,
mean it.
yeah, your mum would be like, you got to apologise. You go, sorry, like you mean
Yeah.
it. Like, fuck.
Yeah. But then you
Sorry,
just learned
Mum.
layers of yeah.
Yeah, you just fake it
You just fake it, yeah.
so you can watch TV again.
Yeah.
So is this that's a true orgy
That's a true
story?
story. That is a story that Adam West has told a number of times. Well, he did. He's passed on since then. But apparently, he and Frank Gorshin were invited to a fancy Hollywood party, and they're like, "Cool, well, let's go and hang out with some people and have some drinks and whatever." And they showed up, not knowing anything of what the nature of the party was, and they showed up, and it was an orgy in progress.
Batmobile keys in the bowl.
His Batmobile keys in the bowl, exactly. and they were like, let's do this in character. And so he was just coming up and talking to all the various concerned citizens and telling them to wear their seatbelts and drink milk. And
Want a zoink?
yeah, exactly.
Zork.
And then eventually the host of the party was like, you're messing with the vibe. You should probably leave.
Ah.
Yeah, so
Get involved, everyone else.
involved,
There's plenty
exactly.
of characters in the DC universe.
exactly, you could have been a Catwoman, could have been a King Tut.
Oh, these are all sexy characters.
That's right. A penguin. Oswald Cobblepot. Just
stop
the name
it.
gets you going.
The Fiddler.
Yum, yum.
The
Dave,
fiddler.
come on, mate. Come on.
Dave.
Dave.
All right.
Dave. Come on, Dave.
Well, if you're going to turn on a pun like that, then probably leave.
And that's
Anyway.
why Dave was kicked out of an orgy.
Yeah, too many puns.
Well, that makes sense.
So this is genuinely our most ever requested topic.
No pressure.
You've been on other Man episodes. You're on the Superman episode. You're on the Mothman episode.
episode,
Now you're on the
yeah.
Batman. Do you hate women?
I just love men.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, can't a man just love other men?
That is very true.
Men in capes and spandex?
Yes, of course you can. It's 2019 or whatever
whatever
the
this
year
year
is.
is, yeah.
It's at the year of release. Mm-hmm. I think we're going to put this straight out, so that'll be 2018.
Nice.
That is how we tend to operate, yes.
I've got a few in the vault.
It usually takes about
Recorded 15 years ago.
about 6 months of legal clearance.
Yeah.
And then,
I've guessed it on some pods, and they've just never come out.
Oh.
It's never an episode. Never
If you
released.
want to have a chat, if you want to catch up, just say
just
so.
say catch. Yeah,
Yeah,
just say,
let's
Forget
just
the
get a
fake
coffee.
mics.
it's
Yeah.
hard not to
everything-
take that personally
Yeah, I
when they're
know.
releasing other episodes.
Have you ever followed that up?
No.
That'd be good.
Yeah, I should do that.
What the fuck?
Come on, guys.
Do you want me to do it for you? I'll say,
Yes.
as Mr. Mason's representative, just wanted to inquire as to the status of the podcast. What the fuck?
Thank you.
You dickheads.
Yeah.
You got a problem? You want to fucking go?
Sorry, was that
You want to
your-
fucking go?
Was that your email to Mark Maron's WTF podcast?
Yeah, he knows.
Just want
what
to talk about Nick Mason. What the fuck? Episode 671 never came out. Mark, where the bloody hell is it?
Yeah, come on, Mark.
thought-
Also, loved you in Glow.
Yeah, a really
Oh,
great turn.
Good show, yeah.
yeah.
Love that show. Great.
Real
Love that
career
show.
renaissance for that guy.
Yeah. He's
we talk
great in
about
it. Yeah.
Okay.
We should do that.
All right.
So it is the most requested ever topic. We've had so many tweets. We're not even going to read out the names. Sorry, everyone. But if you're listening, you probably have requested it. I reckon quite literally hundreds of people have requested this.
It's actually easier for us to read out the names of people who haven't requested it.
So here we go.
Doug.
Kevin Jones.
Hank Cobblepot.
End list.
That's the
yeah,
brother
it was
of the guy you said
Oswald
just
Cobb,
before.
the
Oswald.
fictional.
He's really
character
bitter. He doesn't want to hear any more about the
understand.
penguin.
He's the non-fictional brother of
the
a fictional character.
Wow. Okay.
So 3 people haven't requested it. Everyone else on Earth has.
Enjoy. Here we
Including
go.
President Obama.
Wow.
Yeah, it goes all the way to the top a few years ago. So
Nowadays, just a podcast enthusiast.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah. Well, you got to do something in your retirement.
anyway, people will be screaming
what do
at
you
their
do when you're not
podcast
a
machines.
president anymore? What do you do?
You can't drive anymore. Do you know that?
What?
Sorry, what?
They take away your license. It's no
That
longer
can't be true.
safe to be a personal driver.
Oh, right.
The Queen doesn't even have a license. She doesn't need one. Can you believe that? Fuck, she's cool.
Take away your.
That's bullshit.
Yeah,
Yeah, so George
He's young.
W. Bush.
That's weirdly the oddest thing about. That's the thing I'm blown away about.
Yeah.
about being the
Yeah, so
president.
George W. Bush, the younger one, because he still likes to drive, goes to his Texas ranch on private property where he's
Oh, you can
allowed
drive.
to.
Okay, right.
Sorry, Matt. I know you're trying to get on topic, but that is crazy.
That
isn't
is crazy. If I was Obama and they said that to me, I'd plead the fifth. I'd say, officer, I'm pleading the fifth. And I'd do a burnout
Yeah, nice.
and drive off.
Would you do Sharkers while you did a burnout?
Yeah.
Oh, obviously.
Yeah.
Sorry, a bit of a stupid question.
So that's what pleading the fifth was.
Yeah, that's actually what I thought it was as well.
Sharkers. Woo!
I have no idea what pleading the fifth means. It's either being silent or having a gun. I forget.
Why not both?
I'm pleading the fifth. Anyhow,
Batman?
This episode is about Batman and
It
Mason.
will be at some point.
Like, you were the only person who's ever done a report with pen
And paper.
And paper.
Because as you guys learned earlier, I don't own a laptop. So I'm
I
a
admire
Luddite.
that.
I don't believe in it. I don't believe in any of this.
You're a regular Oswald Cobblepot.
When was the last time you used a keyboard?
You used to play the guitar, didn't you?
Well,
Did-
that would
did-
be in it. Yeah, I was in a flock of seagulls. The
I was in a flock of
Yeah,
seagulls
yeah,
one time.
the band. So-
playing a guitar.
guitar. Yeah, that's probably then. No, I can't even remember.
Yeah,
I must have applied for something online. Maybe a job.
Do you reckon you've
Job
forgotten
application?
how to now?
No, I can do it.
I don't know that you can.
Wow.
We should really do some of these tangents once we've started talking about Batman.
No, tangents. I'll do 4 minutes on Batman at the end. This will
Great.
just be tangents. Okay, so Batman. Who's heard of Batman?
Me,
What do you guys know about Batman?
as
Orphan.
a boy, he was walking along the street with his parents who had pearls and an opera suit.
They did have pearls in an opera suit.
And a
that's
man who could have been the Joker but probably wasn't killed those guys.
Yeah.
And then
Those guys being his parents.
those guys being his parents, and
But
then
he
he fell
called
down
them-
a hole into a bat cave.
Yes.
And bats flew everywhere, and he started fearing the bats until he grew into an adult, and he became the thing he fears most. He became Batman.
Hang on.
Good
So
night, everyone. We've covered it all.
they were in the city when they were walking down.
Yeah, they're in Gotham City.
And he fell in a bat cave in the middle of the city.
Well, that was on their property where their mansion,
There's some time. There's
the
some time
Wayne
in
Manor
between.
is.
There's some
Right, okay,
space in
great.
between.
Sorry,
It wasn't
I,
immediately.
there was a jump cut in
Yeah,
there.
there
Because
wasn't.
I was thinking, like, oh, down the end of this alleyway is just like a manhole that leads to a bat cave. And
Yeah,
that
right.
feels like
No, they're on the edge.
a town planning issue.
Yeah. No, they're on a cliff just outside of the city.
Okay.
Is most of that kind of right?
That's pretty close. So I guess everybody, it'd be a rare person who doesn't know at least the basics. I
Yeah.
think, of
The
where
pearls
Batman came
falling
from.
everywhere.
The pearls falling everywhere, exactly, yeah.
And the opera suit.
And the
Yes.
opera suit, exactly, and the manhole filled with bats. Those things.
Dave, any of that news to you?
The pearls. Didn't know the pearl bit.
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So the basic story of Batman, as Dave has pointed out, is that the Waynes, wealthy socialites, Thomas and Martha Wayne, were taking their son Bruce to the theatre. They were going to see a movie performance of the Mask of Zorro at the Monarch Theatre, and then they are mugged, and then Thomas Wayne gives the mugger all his money, and then the mugger goes for Martha Wayne's pearls, and he takes exception to that, and he grabs at the pearls, and then Thomas Wayne's like, no, at which point the mugger shoots both the Waynes, leaving Bruce Wayne an orphan.
Right. So why does Thomas not want the pearls? Do they have significant?
It's
know,
never been
value to the
revealed.
fam?
No, it's just maybe it's just the principle of the thing. Maybe
Yeah.
it's because he's making moves towards the wife. Maybe that's it. I think that's probably the issue there. And then of course, Bruce
Pearls
Wayne.
are also like really expensive.
Those are very expensive.
And he just bought them for it.
But I think, and it also was a different time. Obviously, now we know that women can be mugged too.
That's very true. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Thomas was very old-fashioned. He's like,
Yeah.
no, if you're gonna mug someone, mug a man.
Mug a man.
Mug a man.
Exactly,
What
yeah.
kind of animal mugs a woman? He said.
And I mean, that's obviously very dated.
And the answer is, of course, a bat.
That's exactly right. So Bruce Wayne decides that he is going to wreak vengeance upon all criminals, and rather than use his vast fortune to maybe change some laws or make some social programs to rehabilitate criminals, he decides he's going to learn martial arts and science and build big vehicles.
Martial arts and martial science.
That's exactly right.
Wow.
Yeah. And then beat up criminals individually.
Yeah,
Which
okay.
I think is important.
And is it ever explained where the money comes from?
The Wayne money.
Yeah. What's the business of Thomas?
Thomas Wayne's a doctor.
Why do you assume it's Thomas's money? Oh, sorry, different time.
Different time.
Yeah,
Different
sorry.
time.
I mean,
different time.
Yeah.
Martha was a
Sorry,
housewife.
yes, I know. Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
I forgot.
He wasn't wearing expensive pearls though, Dave. Think about that.
Yeah, because it was a different time.
Yeah, but he also came into a lot of money, I believe. Further back into the Wayne history, there was money involved there as well. I'm not sure exactly why. They were involved in the formation of Gotham City, which is the town they're from. So I think maybe mining, I want to say, or construction,
see.
something one of those.
I'm going to say both.
Yeah,
And politics.
politics, probably politics,
And
also.
lottery.
Bit of
There we go.
R&D.
Yeah. So anyway, Bruce Wayne decides that he is going to he travels the world and he becomes very well trained in everything he would need to fight crime. And then he's sitting in his drawing room one night and he thinks to himself, okay, I need something, a gimmick. He doesn't say a gimmick, but it's
Yeah.
to strike fear into the hearts of criminals. He says criminals are a superstitious and cowardly lot.
Ah.
What can I do to...
Is that true?
Superstitious.
Well, yeah, I mean,
They
back-
will not step on a crack.
It was a different time.
For fear of breaking their mother's back.
Correct.
And I will
That's
be
right.
crack boy.
Exactly.
Don't step on me.
We surrender.
He just wears arseless chaps. That's his uniform.
But before that particular sign could come to him, instead a bat crashes through his drawing room window and he goes, criminals are afraid of bats.
Was he was an illustrator or an artist?
Who's this?
Bruce Wayne.
Bruce Wayne was not an artist. No, he was. You're thinking of Captain America. He was an artist.
Was he?
Yeah, he was an illustrator. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Someone who was an artist though was the man who's most closely associated with creating Batman, which is a man named Bob Kane.
Oh.
Born October 24, 1915, New York, New York.
Well, that's his birthday week. This week.
It is, yeah, that's right.
Maybe even this day. Today's the 24th. What day is it today? In that thing that you
It's
said.
the 17th. Wait, no, when is this coming out?
24th.
Oh, then that's his birthday.
Serendipity.
Serendipity,
His
that's right.
103rd birthday is today.
Yeah, well,
That's
Good
That's
math, Dave.
spooky.
Good
That's
quick math.
spooky.
very spooky.
Spooky.
He was born New York, New York, as Robert Kahn, and then he quickly changed his name to Bob Kane.
Well, quickly, like on day 3.
Yeah, on day 3, yeah, he was like,
like,
no,
what the
Mum
fuck
and
were you
Dad,
guys
no.
thinking?
You're not
No, thank
feeling
you.
this.
Yeah.
I'm more of a Bob.
Come on, look at me. Is this a Robert face?
Is this a Khan face? It's a
No,
Kane
it's a Kane
face.
I don't think
face.
so. I'm Bob
It's a bloody-
Kane.
It's a bloody Kane face. So he studied at he went to high school. He actually went to high school with a man named Will Eisner, who was also a comic book artist, and
And
he
a member of the Black Eyed Peas.
Will Eisner I am. Yeah, I remember him. Yeah, so that's good stuff. I was doing the regret face. Very
Dave's
early
doing a
on.
regret face.
Oh my goodness!
I felt that.
I'm regretting for 2.
Wow, good for you.
I'm regretting you said that.
So Will Eisner created a character called the Spirit, who was kind of like a masked detective kind of character, and he the Eisner Award, which is the biggest award in comic books, is named after him.
And they went to high
They
school
went to
together.
high school together.
That's
yeah.
amazing.
That's cool.
So
So that
And-
was... Sorry.
Back to, so I just wanted to say back to a couple of weeks ago with the Orson Welles War of the Worlds episode.
yes,
He one of his big breaks was being the narrator on the Spirit radio show.
there you go. That's
Ah.
right. Yeah,
That's how people knew
Yeah.
Orson Welles early on.
yeah, yeah.
And the Spirit was sort of like a proto superhero.
yeah, he was.
Him and Yellow.
Oh, the Yellow Kid.
Yellow
As we
Kid.
mentioned before. The Spirit was kind of, he was like a proto superhero. He was a man in a suit with a mask. But the biggest contribution that the Spirit had to comic books was Will Eisner broke the character out of that really traditional comic book format of just like, okay, here's 6 panels and here's a little thing happening in this one, little thing happening in this one. Will Eisner was all about, okay, let's just do a big splash page and here's the whole page and there's action happening in it, or he'd have the characters jump out of the panels, or he'd have it was very much like sort of deconstructing the form.
And this is... When did you say this was? The 30s?
This the Spirit would have been through the 40s.
40s.
Yeah,
The
but
roaring
Yeah,
40s.
it was later made into a movie maybe 10 years ago that was not very good.
Bummer.
It's a real bummer.
That's... fuck, I love this stuff so much. So there's a lot going on already.
There's a lot going on already, yeah. So
I was about to bog you down, but I won't.
No, that's all right. Well, there's a lot to bloody get through. So in 1934, he joined the Max Fleischer studio as a trainee animator.
This is back to Bob.
This is back to Bob Kane, yeah, that's right. And then 2 years later, he entered the comic book field in 1936. As a freelancer, his first work was to a comic book called Wow, What a Magazine! ! His first pencil and ink work was on a serial called Hiram Hick. I don't know anything about that character. It sounds offensive.
I think that might be...
Yeah.
Isn't that
No.
Larry Bird's nickname? Isn't it something like that? The Hick from Hirenberg Hick? No. Something like that, I bet. I swear to God. You told me so.
I only talk
On
about
this podcast.
I only talk about the round mound of Rebound. Charles Barkley.
Nice. And Wow, What a Magazine was owned by a guy called Jerry Iger. Iger later formed a comic book production house called Eisner and Iger with Will Eisner. And then Bob Kane joined in on that. He was like, I'll get a piece of this.
What a game.
And with Wow, What a Magazine. It sounds
What a
like the guy
Magazine.
that created that said to people, all right, I want people to look at this and say, wow, what a magazine.
Yeah, right.
Think of a cool title. I'll be back in 5.
You could just do that, and then they would just make it for you.
It was a different
It was
time.
a different time. Eisner and Iger was like a comic book packager, which basically meant they went to various production companies like National Publications, which became DC, and they were like, "We'll make some stuff for you." And they were like, "Okay, how about a superhero comic book or whatever? How about a funny animal comic book?" And they would go and they would get their team and they would write it and draw it, and then they would just send it in, and then National would buy it, presumably, or not, depending on how good it was.
Right.
Bob Kane wrote a comic book series called Peter Pup, which was about funny animals.
I was going to... That's a funny
Yeah,
animal.
that's pretty funny.
Peter Pup.
Peter Pup. He also created Oscar the Gumshoe, Ginger Snap, and Professor Doolittle for various.
And this is early on when none of the good names are taken. How are they coming up with this crap?
Yeah, exactly
Oscar
right.
the Gumboot.
Yeah.
Is Professor Doolittle anything to do with Dr. Doolittle?
I think it's unrelated. Yeah.
and
What are the chances?
Dr. Doolittle, the creator, he wanted someone that could outrank him.
Yeah, exactly.
And there was one of those was something. Ginger Snaps? Is that Ginger Meg's
Ginger Snap against.
dad
No,
or
that's
something?
unrelated.
So just
also,
Bickies.
Speaking of great names, that Ginger Snap was published in More Fun Comics.
That's
More
so
fun.
good.
More fun.
More Fun.
The
Comics.
the only comic that I've ever owned is Tism Volume 2, and that was released by a small Melbourne a magazine called Arg.
I remember ARG. Sure, yeah. I can't remember anything else they produced, but I remember.
classic-tism.
They might have also produced the Martin Malloy comic book. I'm not sure.
That would make some sense, I
Yeah,
reckon.
for sure.
I didn't know there was one.
Yeah, there was. It was like 3 issues.
Really?
Chronicling the adventures of Melbourne radio hosts and comedians Tony Martin and Mick Malloy.
I think
yeah.
we need to get a Do Go On comic going.
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot of work.
That would be so
There's
fun.
a Weekly
though.
Planet comic. We'll talk to those guys. We'll get it.
Yeah, can we be on a splash page?
on a splash page.
And then I can find out what that means.
Yeah, nice. It's big.
I'll be
What a
like,
good way to do it.
Yeah. So
I'm
anyway,
picturing like a splash on a page.
yeah, like a real splash.
Like
Because
a
you say
wet
that a bit on your
paper.
podcast, and does that mean it's like a full page?
Oh, it's just a splash page is just like a full page, and there's action happening like the whole page.
Right.
It's one like if you just one big scene is happening.
Right. So one
I
moment,
feel
or
I'm feeling I'm excluding Jess, but it's just because she's over there,
Yeah.
and I hate women as we established earlier. So yeah.
Good, we've got that bit out of context.
Sorted. So anyway, in 1939, DC or national publications at the time were having a huge success with a little character called Superman, which we covered some time ago in
Don't
the
remember
Superman
it.
episode.
Wasn't listening.
Wow, it's all right. We're not going to talk about it. Who cares? Quite
Good.
frankly, but everybody else, go back to that one. It's pretty.
real good.
It's pretty good.
After you finish this one, can't have any dessert till you've finished your veggies.
That's right.
This is the veggies.
Oh, is it?
And that's
That's a
episode-
compliment. I like veggies.
This is a real broccoli of an episode.
Yeah, you looked at me like I was saying this is shit, but I love veggies.
I love veggies too.
Oh man, yum.
And I love cheesecake, so I'm leaving to go back and listen to
Typical
the Superman episode.
Typical Dave.
So,
That's why he'll die first.
Dave.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind Dave will die first. This is going to feel awful when it happens, when people are listening to this,
yeah, but
well,
also
Matt, you can't die.
I
so
can't. I'm
that's-
immortal.
Yeah.
Me and Keanu live
Jess
forever.
has a certain youthful exuberance, which I
Yeah.
think will
Yeah.
see her through.
and Dave, he's just got that type of attitude where he'll just give up.
Plus, he eats too many pies.
He does eat too many pies and cheesecake, apparently.
First sign of something not being right, Dave's
can't
body
bel-
will just shut down.
Mate, you got to get you need different colours on your plate. It can't just all be yellow. You're a yellow. You're a big yellow boy.
I'm a yellow
You're the
kid.
yellow boy. The yellow kid.
Yeah, nice. Good stuff. Bring
I
it
can't
back.
believe
Bring
you
it
think
back.
I'm going to die first.
Well, who do you think's going to die first?
Well, I don't want to say.
Well,
You can say it's me. It's fine because I'm only here for the episode.
Yeah,
so,
maybe so.
yeah.
There's no way.
no way.
My sister's going to live forever.
Well, because I always thought I was going to live forever.
Oh, Dave.
Dave, are you serious?
Never thought about it.
How stupid are you?
Well,
Not only are you stupid, you're going to die soon.
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 You do stretch every night, though.
Yeah, true. It's
Thank
not
you.
going to be in some kind of stretching accident.
and now every morning as well.
Oh,
Morning
shit.
and night.
Don't
Oh,
forget.
at noon.
I should. Every day at work, the alarm goes off. Stretching time, guys.
He puts on his.
You're going to stretch on the way to a helicopter and stretch into a blade or something.
Yeah, it is going to be a stretching accident.
Don't stretch too high.
You're stretching too
You're
much.
stretching too close to the sun.
Well, as long as I have access to a helicopter, I think I've lived a good
Yeah,
life.
that's pretty good.
Wow,
actually.
great point.
Like a bat copter?
Oh, good return to this. Here we go. All right, so DC, national publication. I'm just going to call them DC. We know who it is. It's DC Comics.
Oh, that was going to be a sweet reveal.
Sweet reveal. They were having huge amounts of success with Superman and Action Comics, and they were like, okay, they went out, they went to all the artists and writers, and they were like, can you give us something? Give us something that's like that, and it's going to be a hit just like that. And so in 1991, Bob Kane was being interviewed by Stan Lee on an interview show called The Comic Book Greats.
What's his last name?
Stan Lee.
Stanley.
Oh, I see. I see what you're doing here. I see what you're doing. I see.
Just have a
Jokes
good-
on you. His name's Stanley Lieber. He changed it for show business. So
He did not.
he did. It's true. Yeah,
Stanley Lee.
yeah Stanley Lee.
La la la.
So he and Stanley asked about the creation of Batman, and he said, and this situation, and of course, Bob Kane was like, I got to get in on this because like Siegel and Schuster, who created Superman, got a kind of a raw deal in throughout the course of their career. But at the time, they were making what would have been the equivalent of like a couple of grand a week, so they were doing all right. And so Bob Kane was like, he said, for that kind of money, you'll have a new character on Monday. Like, I'm going to go away this weekend. I'm going to create a new character, and then I'm going to be rolling in it.
And I've created such great characters as Gumshoe Boy,
Paulie
Ginger
Puff or whatever.
Nut,
Yeah, Ginger Nuts.
Crystal Meth.
He even said on this interview, for that kind of money, to create this new character, I'll steal it from somewhere. That's a little foreshadowing for you.
Oh
later
no!
on.
How about Ghost Mutt?
But true to his word, he came back in Monday morning and he had a character called the Batman. And so it was...
How about Superman?
And he said he
Batman.
was influenced by the character. His influence included Zorro, swashbuckler Zorro.
So that's
I
why
love
he's
Zorro.
written into the origin
Exactly,
story.
written in the... and
I love Antonio Banderas.
Banderas. Yeah, well, this was...
I love Puss in Boots.
Oh, I'm glad you said boots.
Yes. But there's some sweet editing to be done by a listener later on, if you know.
I love Puss.
No editing required there.
Nice. He also said that he was that when he was a kid, he was reading a book of Leonardo da Vinci drawings, and in that there's a.
So he's looking at it. He's not reading a book.
Yeah, that's right. There's a picture of what was called an ornithopter, which was like a helicopter with big flappy wings, and he was like, "Well, that looks to me like a Batman." So I'll put that in there, and it's my drawing of the Batman.
Da Vinci.
And so the design of Batman that he presented was pretty close to the one people know of now, kind of that grey full body suit, and it's got the cowl that covers his face and the ears and the cape, and he's swinging down from a rope, and he's like, "What do you reckon about that?" And they're like, "Absolutely,
Absolutely not.
This is the worst idea we've ever seen.
So he's a writer illustrator. He's actually done the original drawings as well.
Well, he's an illustrator, and so I think the idea was, according to what he would say, he created this character. Here it is, and they would go, "Okay, now get us some stories," and then he would go away, and then he would come back with some early stories. So, hang on, where are we?
We're in the studio, Matt.
No, incorrect.
Oh no, we've lost him.
Fix it in post.
There was the Superman's big hit at the moment, and he's taken it in like such a different direction because you've got the basically indestructible, all powerful guy,
yes,
with one weakness to just a guy,
exactly, yeah. So in this, and I think maybe I would definitely say that this is that's part of his appeal over the years. Is he is just a guy. It's a character that you don't. Kids can be like, they don't have to. You don't have to be a man from another world. You could just, and it was a thing to kids. Hey, if you work really hard,
and get billions of dollars.
That's why I like Captain America, because all he did was be a nice person
and get a serum.
Yeah.
So anyway, the first Batman story was published in Detective Comics number 27, which is a collector's item these days, although not as much of a collector's item as Action Comics number 1, first appearance of Superman, obviously. And it was called The Case of the Chemical Syndicate. And in this story, Commissioner Gordon, he invites his friend socialite Bruce Wayne to a crime scene. They're going to investigate a crime scene. And
you bring the brandy.
Yeah, you bring the brandy. And they investigated this crime scene, and it turns out that there's a group of crooks, and they're going to be they're stealing from this chemical company, and they figure this out. And then later, Batman arrives on the scene, and he defeats all the criminals, and then he takes off, and then Bruce Wayne reemerges. And Commissioner Gordon's like, well, what a situation just happened there, and Bruce Wayne's like, I know, what an incredible turn of events that this Batman has shown up and defeated all these criminals, and then he goes back to his stately Wayne Manor, and of course it's revealed that he in fact is the Batman himself.
Oh, so you don't know that reading it until
you don't know until the end.
Oh, that's great.
I love that.
If you're an idiot, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, there were simpler times.
You know who you're talking to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm reading that going, yes, that was a weird turn of events. Anyway, back to the mansion.
Yeah.
Hang on.
So the earlier versions of Batman were sort of inspired by pulp characters like the Shadow. So the early versions of Batman were way... There were definitely happier to just kill criminals. So
Right.
the early versions of Batman is just like machine gunning people from his Batcopter.
Fuck yeah.
Or like hanging people from the back of it.
Oh, that's
Wow.
too far.
There's a character from early on called the Monk who turns out to be a vampire,
Oh.
and all his henchmen are also vampires. And there's a scene where Batman just stakes them all through the heart. Like he finds them sleeping in their coffins and he just stakes them all to death.
And so wait, are you saying modern Batman wouldn't kill vampires?
I don't think he would because they're sentient beings. They're intelligent.
They're also kind of Batmen. If you
They
think
are-
about
they
it.
Are they're a little bit Batman-y, aren't they? Yeah. So over the course of
So I should say that this has taken me for a bit of a surprise because I was sure we were going to be doing an episode about Melbourne's founding father.
John Batman.
Batman.
Yeah, for sure.
So this has really thrown me.
Oh no! Should I go back and do some? I can wing it, I guess.
Yeah, great.
I'll give it a try. So
Of Batman Avenue.
Yeah.
yes,
Real bad guy, apparently. But
It's
Ah.
a shame.
yeah.
Let's see what else. Okay, so by Detective Comics number 29, we've got more established elements of the Batman mythos. He's got a batarang for the first time. He's famous at throwing a weapon.
A batarang.
What is that? Is that a play on words for something? Or is that a fully made up word?
What do you mean?
Batarang.
Boomerang?
Seriously?
I never
you doing a bit?
I never figured that out.
Really?
I'm like, what is that a play on words? It's so far from boomerang to me that I was not able to.
Batarang is so far from boomerang.
Sounds more like ketarang, which isn't anything.
think of
Deadarang, the
you're thinking
country
of
town.
ketamine, the horse
Ketamine,
tranquilizer.
yeah.
Yeah.
K, I'm in a K-hole right now. Let get me out of here. I've fallen down a K-hole. I'm going to grow up to become K-man.
Let's see, in Detective Comics 29, we've got his utility belt, which contains all his crime-fighting gadgets.
And snacks.
Could be some snacks. Yeah.
Sure, there's a muesli bar in
Power
there.
bar, I reckon.
Surely,
power bars,
I mean,
yeah.
oh god.
It would
Yeah.
be definitely called a batter bar, though.
Yeah, batter bar, exactly. Oh, it's a no, that's what we call a battered Mars bar. You deep fry Mars bar, that's called a batter bar.
Batter bar.
Yeah.
And if you're out fighting crime, that's not a quick in and out job. You know, like that can take ages.
Take ages. Stakeouts.
If I don't eat for a couple of
Are
hours,
you doing an infomercial right now?
No, I'm just letting you know something about me
We're in the ad now. We're in the ad.
because we're about to be overseas together. So I'm just letting you know that if I don't eat for a couple of hours, I'm a grump.
Stopping crime isn't an in and out kind of.
I
Hi,
wasn't listening at
I'm
all.
the
then.
Batman.
Jess, on the tour, all you have to remember is check your utility belt, get the muesli bar, and you'll be back.
Do go on utility belts.
I'm gonna
Batman's
get us
utility belt yellow.
utility
Fit right
belts.
in. You love yellow.
I love yellow. I'm literally wearing yellow right now.
Yeah. Let's see. In issue 31, we've got the Bat Plane. His first vehicle for killing people off, I guess. And then in Detective Comics 33, that's where we get his origin story, which is two pages again, where his parents are killed and he vows vengeance against all.
And that
Right.
one is the only one. It's the Joker is in the first movie.
Yes, I can give you some background on that. So initially it's a nobody. And then there's a story many years later where Batman is investigating a mid-level sort of mob guy called Joe Chill. And cool name, right? Pretty cool,
Fucking
right?
cool
Yeah,
name.
Cool name.
Mr. Chill.
Mr.
Super
Chill.
Chill.
And then he through his investigations he discovers that Joe Chill was in fact the mugger that killed his parents.
Oh my God,
And
that's giving me chills.
Then he confronts this guy and he's like, surprise, I'm Batman, but I'm also Bruce Wayne. You killed my parents. What are you going to do about it?
Prepare to die.
And then,
Indigo Montoya
is
style.
that- and then Joe Chill goes to his men and he's like, guys, I don't know how to break this to you, but I created Batman. You know, that guy who's a menace to all our criminal careers. And then, as luck would have it, they all kill him. They all get together and kill him before he can.
Because he created Batman.
Yeah.
That's feels
odd.
clumsy and
Yeah,
weird.
exactly. Well, the comic books, you know, guys.
Oh,
Yeah.
clumsy and weird.
Then,
I thought that was comic book readers. Nerds.
And then later on in the 90s, they were like, because remember in the 90s were really extreme? Remember?
Nah, we were super young in the 90s.
Man, no, my 90s were
But
so extreme.
remember when you were born and then your parents just put you on a snowboard straight away and just
Yeah.
chucked you down a mountain because the
Fuck, that
90s
was
were really
gnarly.
extreme. So in the 90s, they were like, we've got to make Batman even grimmer than he is now. So what they did is they had Batman go through a time portal and he went to a time and then he discovered that when his parents were when his parents were murdered, that Joe Chill was in fact in jail for another crime, so it couldn't have been. So then he was like, oh no, not only did I get that guy killed, but also that wasn't the guy that killed my parents.
Vengeance has not been
Vengeance has not been served.
So it was sort of a retcon.
It was, but then they retconned it again. So it's Joe Chill again.
Why did Joe Chill say, "Yeah, that was me"? If he didn't do it,
He killed so many. He killed so many bloody
He
opera
lose
boys.
track.
I killed so many parents, mate.
Exactly,
He left heaps of kids orphans. How was he to keep track?
That's why they call me the orphaner.
Yeah.
Chances are, eventually, one of them was going to turn into some sort of Batman.
I mean,
Batman, exactly.
statistically, yes.
Yeah. But anyway, you're right. In the 1989 Batman movie, his parents are killed by a man named Jack Napier,
I think it was the first movie I saw at the cinemas.
who becomes the Joker later. But there's another mugger with him, and that is implied to be Joe Chill.
Ah,
So
cool.
he's
So
there.
then,
So he's there, but he's not there.
That's an incredibly dark film for a child to be seeing for the first time at the cinema, Matt.
yeah, I don't think my granddad knew, and no one did. So it is quite weird looking back. But I was a toddler, so it was really weird.
What, in 89?
Yeah, I was a very slow developer. Took me
a
centuries.
toddler.
So anyway,
You're at school.
in Detective Comics 38, we get the introduction of Robin, who is Batman's sidekick. And a lot of people are like, oh, why is he, when all these new movies come out, they're like, oh, why bring in Robin, blah, blah, blah. He's just this silly, colourful character. But he's been around basically as long as Batman has. He's been around since 1940. So, and basically he was introduced because
Batman needed a friend.
Batman doesn't need a friend. Well, he needed a friend, and he also needed somebody to exposition towards.
Yeah,
because
yes.
like Sherlock Holmes has a Watson.
I love
It's
Watson.
weird that Batman's always just thinking really, really long pieces of text to himself, and
Yeah.
they're like, well,
Right.
we need a little. And then also the idea, of course, was that having a kid sidekick meant that kids could relate more to the character, because it's hard to relate to Batman, but it's if
Right.
Yeah.
kids are always getting into funny little scraps and nearly being murdered by the Joker. So-
Why hasn't that really played, like it wasn't in the not really in the Nolan?
No, in the
Trilogy.
Nolan trilogy, Joseph Gordon-Levitt in the third one is implied he's going to be Robin or the next Batman or something. It's a bit vague.
And the 89 one as well didn't. I don't think, but that sort of turns into the one where Robin comes in, right?
Correct, yes.
Sort of, even though it's like totally.
We'll certainly get to those.
Great,
at a
sorry.
certain point. No, please.
But yeah,
this for people can't see this, but this is just an assortment of loose notes
Right.
on paper,
Well,
so I'll go back and
I don't think I really like Robin that much as a character. He always
Robin,
seems
though?
the ones from the movies
Okay.
and the TV show.
Because depending on how you count them, there's been somewhere between 4 and 7 Robins. So
Yeah, there's one called Bruce Graham or something like that.
yeah, there's one called Bruce Graham. No, I'm kidding.
It wouldn't be Bruce.
We can talk about him later. I
Dick
think.
Grayson.
There is a Dick Grayson. That's the first one. That's the one from the movies and the TV show.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I just found, something about it. I'm just like, just let Batman be Batman. I
Yeah,
like him
right.
being a loner.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I think a lot of people feel that way as well. He's
I find that more relatable.
because you're a
I'm a what, Nick?
loner.
Yeah.
A lone wolf.
Yes.
You're
A
lone
wealthy
wolf.
loner.
You've got a wolf pack that do go on crew, but you could
Yeah.
very easily go out.
Helen
Oh,
at the moon.
Yeah, Helen at the
we
moon.
only catch up once a week, and
Yeah.
that's enough.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, solo.
Yeah. Solid trader.
Yeah.
Solid drinker.
This was also when shortly afterwards we got Batman #1, which was his own solo series, but the stories continued. So we were getting Batman stories in Detective Comics, and we were getting Batman stories in the Batman comic itself.
So you have to buy 2 to keep up with the story?
No, they were separate. Continuity was less of an issue, I think, back in the day. So if you just want, it was mostly you just picked up one and you had a Batman story. Batman #1 introduces, I believe, the Catwoman and the Joker, with 2 of Batman's recurring villains for decades. What else? By this point, by sort of the mid-40s, they were like, okay, because it was getting more popular, they were like, okay, maybe we should take out some of the more deadly elements of Batman. So he stopped killing people and renounced guns and etc. It was never really mentioned. He never really gave them away. It's just they just stopped bringing.
So that didn't go all the way back to the start? Like, is he now never a gun guy? Or did he
Yes.
make a decision?
He's basically the current origin of Batman would suggest that at some point he thought about it, and then he was like, "Nah, better not."
But then there's some weird thing that I hear you guys talk about on the Weekly Planet
Yes.
sometimes about Ben Affleck. And
Yes.
he has guns.
I mean, I can't let that go. Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck.
I thought it was you're not doing that on purpose.
I'm doing that on
I think
purpose.
he's doing it on purpose.
David, please.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck.
Jess and I just looked at each other like, what the fuck? What the fuck's Ben Affleck?
I don't think I've hardly pronounced one word right this whole episode so far.
Ben Affleck.
And Ben Affleck's the one you go for.
Because that sounds like some sort of exotic dessert. One Ben Affleck.
Banoffee.
I was thinking that too.
I'll have a Banoffee and a Ben Affleck, please. To go.
So in 1943, there was also a Batman newspaper comic strip that kicked off as well. So now there's 3 continuous storylines happening. Bob Kane's. All of these have this little banner on them that says Batman by Bob Kane. People might recognize this little square, and it's got his name in his own little handwriting, B with a really big O, Bob Kane. That's on all the mastheads. And that's interesting because back in the day, there was no... What happened? What happened?
Nothing.
Okay, back in the day... Are you guys making fun of me?
No, absolutely not. I'm making fun of Dave.
Okay, great. I'll accept that.
Yeah.
So back in the day, nobody really got a byline. Siegel and Schuster, creators of Superman, famously never really got any credit for their character. But Bob Kane, in the first meeting where he went in and he sold his character, nobody really knows what was said. But
that's good.
yeah, that's exactly.
He said, "I know where you live."
Exactly. But he forever got this byline on it, basically everything. And it later became, initially it was that, and then years later, up until even maybe 2015, it just every piece of Batman media said Batman created by Bob Kane on it. And apparently, according to some people in the know, maybe who heard it secondhand, apparently the contract, which has never been seen, I don't believe, says that Batman would be forever listed as solely created by Bob Kane. So he could, whatever negotiating tactic he
It's
employed,
watertight.
It was kind of watertight,
especially back then.
He
Yeah,
showed
right.
him his balls
Yeah, that'll do
and
it.
said,
They're terrifying.
"This is mine, or I will show you these balls
Balls,
again."
exactly.
And again.
Yes.
And I know where you live.
For every piece
I'll
of
show you
merchandise.
them there as
I'll
well.
show you
Yeah.
kids my balls.
Oh, okay. Okay, and then they
I'll
signed
show
a deal
you
with him.
dog my balls.
I'll show that little pretty, what was it, Peter Pup?
Yeah, I'll show my
You
balls.
funny animals.
So Bob Kane, because he had that
Bob Kane,
Bob Kane,
too
because,
bad.
because he had that name in the credits, he became sort of a minor celebrity. So as the decades wore on, when they created the Batman TV series, which we'll get to shortly afterwards, when the Batman movies came, like the Tim Burton Batman movies came out in the 80s, he really embraced. He was kind of a larger than life character, and he went to the 1989 Batman premiere in like a white suit with like a black velvet cape on, and he got out of the Batmobile just to greet all his fans.
Sounds like a mad dog.
Yeah, and he parlayed that. He stopped a few years later, towards I guess the 60s. He stopped drawing. He stepped away from the Batman comic books, and he just started doing like oil paintings and lithographs of Batman that he would tour around the world with, and people would buy them. Anyway, he died in 1998, aged 83. And I've got a little quote. This is from his headstone, which I'll bit of fun.
Headstones are a bit of fun.
They are a bit of fun, exactly. So God bestowed a dream upon Bob Kane, blessed with divine inspiration, a rich imagination. Bob created a legacy known as Batman. Let's see. Bob Kane, Bruce Wayne, Batman, they are one and the same. Bob infused his dual identity character with his own attributes: goodness, kindness, compassion, sensitivity, generosity, intelligence, integrity, courage, purity of spirit, a love of all mankind.
God, no
And
word
then there's
limit on this thing, is
exactly,
there?
it's huge. And there's a picture of like the bat symbol on the grave. And so basically he left behind this legacy of this character, all these amazing creative, these characters, this huge rogues gallery and all these supporting characters. And adjusted for inflation, the Batman movies collectively have made $3.5 billion.
Billion.
Speaking of movies, though, and if I want to wind it back a little bit, there's a man named Michael Uslin, and he was a producer on he's basically been a producer on all the Batman movies. Like he started the Burton Batman movies up until Justice League, which is the most recent one. And he was a comic book fan since he was a little kid. And in 1965, he convinced his parents to take him to the first New York Comic-Con, like the first one that ever happened.
Wow, Comic-Con's been going since 65.
Well, it's actually been going before that. This was considered the first official Comic-Con because before that, like fans had created Comic-Cons just to get there and talk about, comic books. But this was the first one where like creators and artists and writers would show up.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and this was at the Broadway Central Hotel, which was kind of a rickety... This is July 31, 1965, Broadway Central Hotel. This was a very dodgy, rickety hotel. Apparently 3 months after this convention, the roof caved in and the building was condemned. But so Michael Uslan, who was this big comic book fan, he convinced his parents to take him and his younger brother to this comic book convention, and they were so thrilled. It was super exciting, and because he's loved comic books since he was a tiny little kid. And he and his brother went up to a bar to order a couple of Cokes just to take a little rest from all the excitement of the Comic-Con. And they ran into a guy. His name's Otto Binder. He was a very, very prolific comic book writer from back in the day, and he was having a conversation with another man who they didn't recognize. And Otto Binder, he'd written for Action Comics and Adventure Comics, and he created. He worked on the Shazam, Captain Marvel family, just so many thousands of issues, and they were so excited to meet him. And this Otto Binder said to those kids, "Hey, would you kids like to meet the creator of Batman?" And they were so fired. They were like, "This is so exciting. We're going to meet Batman." And they turned to this kid, this guy, who they didn't. They were like, "We're going to meet Bob Kane. This is the Bob Kane, the guy in the." And they turned to this guy, and it's not Bob Kane. It's a different man. And so, and I might you're going to need. I'm going to need you all to steady yourself. This is a man of the name of Bill Finger. So,
Bill Finger.
Yeah, it's a silly name.
That's a stupid name.
Because some of the people who messaged in to say want the Batman episode, they wanted to hear about Bill Finger.
Yeah, right.
I forgot about that.
Yeah,
Bill Finger.
Bill
so
Finger.
Bill Finger's the real...
Well, here's the thing. So again, every masthead had always said Batman created by Bob Kane. And there's actually... So basically what happened is, the thing about Batman, because he's the world's greatest detective, so I guess the fans who aspired to be like Batman also became little detectives. And there was a huge fan of Batman at the time. His name was Jerry Bales. And he was like, okay, so there's Detective Comics, and there's Batman Comics, and there's a Batman newspaper strip. Like, how was it that Bob Kane had time to write all this and draw all this? And so he wrote to DC Comics, and this was at the time when if you wrote to a comic company, they would write you back. And
I want to talk about something that could have legal ramifications.
Yes, exactly.
I'm a 13-year-old boy. Could you please write me back?
And they were like,
"Oh, no
hey,
worries, little Timmy.
yeah.
We'll send you all our details. This is our lawyer's name if you want to ask any more questions."
Yeah.
He's a little showbag.
He was like, is Bob Kane write everything else? Who writes Batman stories? And they wrote him back, and they were like, okay, here's some contributors, here's some artists. But the name that came up was a guy called Bill Finger, who'd been ghostwriting this character from 1939 to 1965.
Whoa!
So the story goes that in 1939, Bob Kane, he went away on a Friday and he went to create this character called the Batman. I'll find a little photo. He created
Just a little one,
just
please.
a little photo. It's very small.
outside of that one time you say he created the Batman, you've dropped the. Do they use the much?
Initially, he's the Batman, the Bat-man.
Yeah.
It got dropped, I want to say the 50s.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's around for a little while.
There. Please, people, everyone.
Similar to
email me.
Facebook.
Yeah, the Facebook, exactly.
Facebook man.
So he went to...
Which they dropped.
Facebook man.
Oh, Bookman. Face man.
Ooh.
From the 80s.
He's a guy with a face.
Yes.
Man.
So
cool.
he went away and he created his character, the Batman. Now, this version of the Batman sort of wears like a red union, like a bright red union suit. He's got the big black trunks. He's got blonde hair. You can see his head. He's got a little domino mask on, and he's got these big stiff sort of bat wings.
Ah.
It's
Yeah,
kind of
okay.
like that.
Oh,
Well, it looks
yeah.
like
Yeah.
a devil, a demon.
Like a little so
Nothing like a bat.
not so much like a bat. So then he called a friend of his, Bill Finger, who he'd also gone to high school with, and who was an aspiring writer and also a shoe
What a
salesman.
school.
I can tell you. I'd have to find it. But
No, I
it's
mean, what? I'm saying, what a school.
What a school,
It was
yeah,
more of
right?
a not,
Yeah.
what's the school?
school, you need details.
I need to send
Need
my future
names.
children there.
And Bill Finger was basically like, okay, well, this isn't going to work. Okay, so what you need the costume to be darker because he's a creature of the night. He's a bat, so they made it grey and black. Then he was like, okay, he's got this little domino mask on. People are going to see his face, and criminals are not going to be intimidated by that. So how about give him a cowl that covers his whole face, give him the bat ears, because then he's more like a bat. And then he's like, okay, these stiff wings are not going to be practical. How about give him a cape instead and give it like a scalloped edge so it looks like bat wings and it can flap behind him?
Fully designed it.
Fully designed it. And then he was like, okay, and there's nothing, maybe put a symbol on the chest, like break up put a bat on there so we know he's the Batman.
That girl does look sick, but yeah, it's not at all like Batman.
He's totally sick.
He looks sick,
Yeah.
bro.
So basically he brought Jerry Bales, who was this big fan of comic books and of Bill Finger, was like, okay, we're going to bring you to this comic book convention. You can talk about this. And so he basically came out as this guy who'd been writing for Bob Kane.
Wow.
So I should dial it back a little bit. So basically, Bill Finger, writer, designed this character, and then basically he went, okay, here it is. And then Bob Kane went to DC and was like, okay, I created this character. Here it is, and I created this. And
My name on everything. Thank you.
Yeah, and so he said,
or I'll show you my balls.
and he was like, hey, and then he came back to Bill, and he was like, okay, just letting you know, I sold it. Congratulations, we did it. But because I made the sale, my name's going to be on it, and I'll pay you a portion of my salary. But there was never any contract written out.
Right.
So the idea was that Bill would write.
Bill got fingered.
Yes, Bill would write the stories. Thank you, and Kane would draw the stories. So
Right.
that was the arrangement
He caned him
for some time.
with Bill's finger.
And so Jerry Bales, who was this huge fan, he actually wrote an article. It was a 2-page article. Do you have a question?
I was going to say, so Bill Finger was he wrote the stories,
Yes.
and Kane drew them, but also Bill Finger basically designed.
He designed Batman also.
So he
yes.
designed how he looks, and
Yeah.
he wrote all the stories.
Well, I mean, there is some there. Bob Kane certainly did write some of the stories, and he created some of the characters. Like, Bob Kane's initial idea, people, they both came up with the idea, okay, well, Batman should have a sidekick because he needed somebody to talk to. And Bob Kane's idea was a character called Mercury. It was a teen boy, and he had a super costume that gave him superpowers. And Bill Finger was just like,
What the fuck?
maybe just make him a regular kid. How about
Yeah, that would be weird to have your sidekick being more powerful
than you,
Yeah.
right? Exactly. So Jerry Bales wrote a little article. It was a 2-page article called If the Truth Be Known, or A Finger in Every Plot. And it was this 2-page article basically saying, hey, everybody, just letting you know, in case you're wondering, Bill Finger, he's this guy and he created all these characters. And
Wow, Jerry.
yeah, I know,
Championing.
right? But of course, he couldn't
championing-
really publish that anyway, so he basically just Xeroxed a whole bunch of copies. And if anybody was curious, like he would accept letters from people who were curious about it, or he'd find out their details, or he'd see them at comic book conventions, he would give them a copy, or he'd mail them out a copy. Anyway, so Bob Kane responded to this. He went to a Batman fanzine called Batmania, and he called Bill Finger also spoke on that day on that Comic-Con, and he spoke about it. Yeah, I did create a lot of this stuff. And basically, Bob Kane went to this fanzine and he was like, hey, love your work. Big fan of your fanzine. Read it all the time. Love it. And he was like, just letting you know that Bill Finger's statement about the creation of Batman, it was fraudulent and entirely untrue. The truth is, Bill Finger is taking credit for much more than he deserves. I refute much of his statements here in print. And he said he claimed to create the Batman figure and costume entirely by myself.
Wow.
Yeah.
Drama.
Yeah. So basically, what happened is, Bill and Bob met at a party one time, and only Bob only dealt with DC directly. He was the only one, and apparently DC, he never told anyone about Bill, and people at DC never asked, because again, it was this situation where it was like, As long as you're bringing the work in, we don't care.
But
Yeah.
a child did ask in letter form,
That's
and they
right.
did.
Yeah, they
give
did.
the
Well, so,
name.
yeah, I guess eventually they figured it out. Like after a decade or so,
Right.
they figured it out, and they're just like, "All right then." Where else gonna?
Wow.
Ah, this story has got it all.
The story's got it all right. It's got a little hook to it. Now let me find the rest of the hook. Hang on. Let me. Okay. So yeah. So the characters that were in doubt that people either Bob or Bill had a hand in. Batman, obviously. Catwoman, Robin, the Penguin, the Joker, the Riddler, the Scarecrow, Commissioner Gordon, Bruce Wayne, the identity of Batman. Bill Finger said that he thought of the character Robert the Bruce, the Scottish nobleman, and Wayne was also a very, very noble man, so he created that name. He named Gotham City. He named the Batmobile. He created the notion of the Dark Knight. That's his name.
It's not leaving a lot of scraps.
The Batcave. He also wrote the 2-page origin story in which Batman got his origin.
Right.
Okay.
So that's
Not much.
no.
So what's
exactly.
left? Like Gecko Man as a bad guy?
No, well,
or
there's
something?
the Riddler. It wasn't
Yeah.
mentioned.
The Riddler.
Gecko
who-
Man.
The Riddler was mentioned. Like I
Oh.
said, Bob Kane definitively created Two-Face, who is
Good
the
character.
the
Harvey
district
Dent.
attorney who is scarred by acid and becomes a homicidal
Famously
lunatic.
played by Tommy.
Tommy Lee Jones.
Lee Jones.
He was played by Billy D. Williams in the first movie, and then Tommy Lee Jones many years later. What else? Clayface. That's,
All right, can you just go through ones that people have heard of?
no, come on, people know Clayface. Go on.
Clayface. Never heard of Clayface. Would you do a quick challenge for me?
Go ahead.
What can you rank? Give me the top 10 in order, most famous. So Batman would be number 1 in the Batman world.
Yep.
Would number 2 you'd say be Joker, right?
I'd say it's probably the Joker. Yeah.
Then number 3 would be
Robin.
then
Robin.
Catwoman,
Yep. Catwoman. Okay. Penguin, Scarecrow. They'd all be up there. Mm-hmm.
and then you haven't said the Butler
Poison
yet, have you?
Ivy.
Oh, Alfred. Yeah, Alfred the Butler. Poison Ivy. Thank you. There we go.
Poison Ivy. What about
Yeah.
Captain Freeze?
Oh, Mr. Freeze.
Nice to freeze you.
Yes. Okay.
Oh no, sorry, ice to freeze
There,
you.
yes,
Yeah.
that's very correct. Yes. Let's see.
Was that a who was that a finger or a cane? Ice to freeze you.
That's a good
Or a
question.
Bruckheimer.
I think he might have been, because he wasn't a really big character. He was just he was really a nothing character for a really long time.
He would resent that, but I think you're probably
Yeah,
right.
he was originally called Mr. Zero. He actually wasn't Mr. Freeze.
Ah.
And then
0
in the
degrees.
1960s, they needed, for the Batman TV series, they needed a bunch of relatively harmless characters, like no serial killers, no Two-Faces, etc. And they were like, okay, let's get this. This guy seems jovial and harmless, so they renamed him
him
Mr.
in.
Freeze, and they
Right.
brought him into the TV series. Yeah.
Is there anybody, and I don't know if you're going to cover this later, I'm sorry if I'm
That's all
jumping ahead. Is there anybody else besides Alfred
Yep.
who knows Bruce Wayne's secret?
Oh, heaps of people.
Oh,
Okay, so
Red Fox.
sorry.
Red Fox.
Oh, Lucius Fox.
Lucius Fox?
The idea is behind Batman is, he's this mysterious figure of the night and nobody knows who he is, but basically everybody knows who he
Oh.
is. So Commissioner Gordon probably knows, but he doesn't want to say anything.
Right.
Catwoman knows because they've had an on and off relationship for years.
hot.
All the Robins know, so that's like another 7 people. The Riddler knows, but for some reason he won't tell.
He's a riddle trapped in a
He's a riddle trap, yeah.
In an enigma.
enigma.
Yeah, enigma.
He's
there we go.
probably trying to tell people, but he's telling it in riddle form, and no one
yes,
can crack
exactly.
it.
Yeah.
He's a Wayne Bruce. I don't understand.
Brainy Woos.
I don't get it.
Jim Carrey, tell us, what are you trying to say?
Yeah, just a whole bunch of
Tone it
people.
down.
It's the worst kept secret in comics, really. Yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't realize that.
Who most famously plays Alfred? I wonder.
Oh, yeah, that's a good question, David.
Dave, do you have any idea who plays Alfred?
Yes, I believe it was Cesar Romero in the original.
Oh, no.
No,
that was the
he would have
Joker.
been a
You're
good.
thinking of Michael Gow from 1989's Batman. Michael Gow.
Yeah. Michael Gow.
Michael Gow.
Wait, hang on. Oh, I think he might even be here now. Hello, my name is Michael Kane, and I'm not related to Bob Butterfly. Sorry.
Michael,
Oh,
Mr.
sorry.
Kane, are you okay?
I'm sorry, Master. Wayne. Bruce.
The Lamborghini then.
I'm
Much more subtle.
struggling to breathe.
Wow, I don't remember this, but
Is Darth
this is a
Vader choking
beautiful-
him out?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful retelling.
Thank you. And scene.
Very good.
Yeah, that was. I did that to be the drama queen at school. So
Did you?
not drama queen. What were you guys? Drama captains.
Drama queen.
Sorry, drama queen.
Anyway,
Get it
what I
right.
might do is I'll talk a tiny little bit more about Bill Finger. I might come back to him later, but I'll just get that out of the way. Then we can talk about the history of Batman, maybe in the TV shows and the movies and the animated shows and all that sort of stuff.
Oh my
How's
God.
that sound?
Everyone,
so
hunker
excited.
down. We're in for the long
Somebody's
haul. I'm excited. I'm loving this.
Yeah, loving it. Okay, so in 1972, Bill Finger, there's not a lot, because Bob Kane was this huge guy, and he was this huge character, and he was all over the place. He was all over the media. He did a lot of interviews and stuff like that. But Bill Finger never really talked to anybody. There's maybe like 2 surviving interviews with him. And at a certain point, there was only 3 photographs of him. He was kind of an enigma. Like, nobody really knew him.
Do you reckon he's a real person?
He's definitely a real person. We'll get to it. Maybe we'll finish up with Bill Finger. We'll talk about him at the end.
You'd change your name though, wouldn't you?
I wouldn't.
Well, actually,
Finger.
Bill Finger, not his real name.
Oh, get
Oh,
fucked.
he did
you
change his
chose
name.
He changed his name.
Finger.
I
He
love
didn't choose
it.
Finger.
Okay.
He chose Bill. So, yeah, he chose Bill. One interview.
All right,
that's
it's William Finger.
That's right. One of the
Willie Finger.
Oh, no,
Oh,
you
won't
would
he?
go Bill. You would go Bill.
Yeah, you would
wouldn't
go
you?
Bill. Yeah, so in 1972, there was an audio interview with him, and he says, look, regarding his work on Batman, he says, I was a ghost, I really was. It wasn't until later that DC found out that I was the writer, and that Bob Kane wasn't the writer.
So humble.
He's a little bit humble. Hang on, I'll find a little...
Can you be a little bit humble?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
So this is from that tape. He says, but when I came up there for the first time, meeting the DC offices, gee, there I was, a kid in these big offices. Bob Kane was using me as a kind of tool all this time to bolster his own paycheck.
So he was kind of like his Robin to his the Batman.
Yeah, I guess that's true, yeah.
Finger was Robin.
Finger was the Robin, yeah. And Bill Finger, again, he produced a lot of, again, so much that became part of the Batman mythos. Like, you know, again, so many of the supporting characters and the villains, and like one thing that made Batman very popular was that, like, the scale of all the adventures. There's a lot of and making Gotham City the character as well. Like, Gotham City was filled with all these weird props and kind of like there's a go ahead, Matt.
No, that is very funny. That's you know, when I was watching the movie, I couldn't help but feel there's an extra character in this film, and it doesn't have a credit. This doesn't have an actor.
It's not just Carrie and Miranda and the other two. The city, the sex in the city is the real character.
And there
Yeah.
they are. Hello, I'm Gotham City. I'm here.
Oh, Dave, I think did my bad impersonation rub off on you there?
What?
You've lost it.
I like to think I inspired you in everything you do.
Ha.
What's his real name again? Does anybody remember?
A bit
Kane?
William Finger.
There we go.
Yes. Willie Finger.
Willie. It's the classic Willie won't he Finger scenario. Ooh,
boy. Anyway, Gotham City is kind of like its character on its own. But like the Batman comics were known for like these huge set pieces on, like, you know, Batman would fight some villains on a giant typewriter, or because, you know, that was part of the city, or like, you know, or like if you look at if you Google the Batcave, one of the images of the Batcave is there's like a giant robot dinosaur, and there's a giant penny, and these are all like tokens of his adventures that he collected over the years, and that was all Bill Finger, was all these characters, all these little bits and pieces that sort of added to the mythos. Apparently, he would bus around New York City, and he had a little book, and he would just collect little ideas, and they would
Oh, giant penny.
a giant penny, exactly. Well,
He needed to get on a bus to figure that one
That's
out.
right, exactly.
Ooh,
Well, he
giant
apparently one time he
typewriter.
went past a place called the Gotham Jewelers, and that's where
Ah.
it came from.
Tiny bus.
So Gotham City is sort of based on New York City?
Yes, it is. Yeah,
Cool.
Concrete jungle.
exactly.
My dreams
Tell
are
me
made
about
of.
it. Bloody rat race, huh?
Let's say
Paved paradise.
Yeah, you catch that train to work every day, buddy. Paving the bloody pavement. Paving it. That's what I do. Paving
here's a
pavement.
little fun tidbit. the Batman TV series, Bill Finger was the only comic book writer to write a TV episode. No other comic book writers ever did. They were all TV writers.
He does it all.
Yeah, so this was it was the episode The Clock King's Crazy Crimes, featuring the Clock King.
Clock King Crazy Crime.
Giant clock.
And he
Write it down.
there was a giant clock. Thank you.
The human
Big
torch
crown.
Yeah.
was rejected for a bank loan.
So he wrote this with a friend of his who was a TV writer called Charles Sinclair, and they submitted the script. And Charles Sinclair recalls in an interview later, he said, "Okay, they bought this," and Bill said to him, "Listen, there's only one request, because it said The Clock King's Crazy Crimes by Charles Sinclair and Bill Finger," and he said, "Would it be okay if I was put first in the title?" So that would be nice.
Bill, you diva.
I know, right? But they did. So if you look at that title,
Did he say, would you, if it's okay?
yeah, if, so, I
If you don't mind,
did.
is
He was
that
very
okay?
humble. So
I
there
thought
it
he
is.
was
Written
gonna
by Bill
say-
Finger and Charles Sinclair. That's
I thought you were gonna say-
right there.
I thought he was going to ask, my one request is that I actually get credited for this.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Until,
right?
I'm afraid now.
Yeah.
You'd be so
Yeah.
paranoid.
So that is literally his only published credits.
Wow.
For Batman up until we'll get to it a little bit.
Was it
later.
a good episode? Famously the best episode?
Could
Was
have
it?
been one of the best episodes.
Crazy Clockworth, Crazy Clint's, Crazy Prices?
Yeah, Crazy,
Everything on
Crazy
the,
Clips, yeah,
it's on the
yeah,
floor,
yeah.
it's out the door.
Alpha Daly's discount warehouse, yeah. So anyway, Bill didn't do a lot after that. He'd write like articles for like carpentry magazines, and he'd write for the
I know another guy who wrote articles for Carpenter Magazine.
Yes, and who was that?
Fuck.
Tell me about it.
Please don't.
Okay, he would also write for like there's a place called the Army Pictorial Center where they would make instructional videos for people in the army. He would write for that sort of stuff.
Oh my God, what a fall from
Yeah,
grace.
exactly. That's right.
This guy created the most famous comic book character of all time.
Yeah, in the 70s, he went back to working for DC, but he didn't work on any superhero stuff. He worked on mostly mystery stuff.
He worked on mainly instructional videos.
Exactly. On January 18, 1974, he had 2 of these mystery stories due. He handed in one of them, and he went home, and presumably to work on it. And then sometime later, his friend Charles Sinclair, the TV writer, was like, "I haven't seen him in a while. I should probably see what he's up to." And he came. He went there, and he'd passed away. He says. He had a history of heart
Passing away?
attacks. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that
Been
was-
revived many times.
Could have been revived.
It
many
ran in
times.
his family, actually.
Yeah.
In fact, every member of his family in generations before him had passed away.
His grandfather,
Oh my God,
his
it runs-
great-grandfather.
They were expecting this to happen at some point.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so sad.
Um.
Maybe that's what Crazy Clint's clock was counting down to.
Wow.
My goodness.
I guess Crazy Clint's clock finally hit midnight.
Hanging away.
Even Crazy Clint's clock is right twice a day.
Just like our low prices.
They're only right twice a day.
I know, it's a giant clock. I
The
can't,
shop's only open twice a day
can't be
for 1
expected.
minute.
I can't be expected to
Quick,
open
you
this
want to
clock
check out
all-
you can have a look at our clocks now for the next minute. They're all working very well, as you can see. All right, out the door. You want to either make the purchase or get the fuck out.
There's an intercom announcement. Crazy Clint's Crazy Clocks will be closing in approximately 1 minute. Thank you very much.
We're also opening right now.
So anyway, after the death of in 1989, so many years later, Bob Kane. This is after the release of the Batman movie. Bob Kane released his autobiography, which he released with he wrote it with a man named Thomas Andre. And in this autobiography, on page 44, there's a line, "Now that my longtime friend and collaborator is gone, I must admit that Bill never received the fame and recognition he deserved.
Oh,
You piece of shit.
He was an unsung hero. Because he came into the strip after I had created Batman, he did not get a byline. I often tell my wife, if I could go back 15 years before he died, I would like to say, I'll put your name on it now, you deserve it."
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's
But
nice, right? Yeah.
Too little too late, but it's still nice.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah. Now that he's no longer a legal threat.
Exactly, yeah. So it seems that Bob Kane did have some regrets. He went back and forth. He had some regrets, but also I think he was in a position where he couldn't reveal like that.
Yeah.
That was that Bill Finger had a real a huge impact on the creation of Batman. At one point, he produced a page that allegedly from 1934, so 5 years before he created Batman, that he created when he was 14 years old, with a sketch of a Birdman / Batman. It was dated January 17th, 1934, and I'll find a copy for you right now.
This is Bob Kane.
This is Bob Kane, and he's like, I mean, he did have some contributions, obviously, but I just wanted to let you know that years beforehand,
Right.
I created this character.
Oh, wow.
And
yeah, if that is real.
Well, if that's the thing, if it's real.
Yeah.
Because again, first of all, why put the date on it?
Yeah, that's
Who's
a bit
just sketching
strange.
some random stuff
Yeah.
as a 14-year-old and they're just like,
Better date this.
better date this right now.
Yeah.
Also, if you...
It has the symbol.
It's got... Well, it does. It has a bat symbol on it, which his design for the Batman did not have.
Yeah.
And it's also got the cowl with the ears on it.
Yeah.
So isn't it weird that he went, now years ago I had this design for a Batman, but I'm not going to use
Yeah.
that. I'm going to use this version.
So
and,
it's-
Bill, what do you want to add to it? Oh, those things from my old... Well, just, yeah, right?
Right.
Extremely
yeah,
sus.
it does seem a bit sus.
Yeah, it does seem a bit sus.
Yeah.
What an absolute prick.
Yeah, it seems that way, doesn't it? Yeah.
I like the two different reactions over there. Yeah, seems a little
Yeah,
bit
Matt's
sus.
like, oh.
What an absolute prick.
I don't know. I always, because I know memories are so, what do you call it? Not trustworthy. People, like,
Yeah.
that much time passes. He'd start to, I reckon both of them, their memories change things.
Well,
and-
exactly, and I think the more you talk about something, like the more you repeat a lie,
Yeah.
sometimes you even start to believe that lie.
But obviously, if you've created fake evidence of creating a character 5 years earlier by being like, look at this drawing that if it is made up,
Yeah.
you're a prick.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that does
Yeah.
feel.
Prickish.
But you believe it, and then you go, I don't have any proof, but it's definitely true. I'm forging a thing to prove this thing I believe is true.
I don't
Still
know.
dodgy, but. You know that story? There's an
The boy who cries wolf.
American journalist who.
Cried wolf.
A wolf who cried journalist.
Some sort of. He was in, I think it was in one of the Iraq wars, and he, the story he told, he was hit. He was in a helicopter that got hit by gunfire or whatever. But they went back and found out that he wasn't in that helicopter. He was in a helicopter quite a way back from it, I think. And then they traced him telling the story, and it slowly morphed. He fully believed
right.
it, but every time he told it, he was closer to the action. He was then in the helicopter that got hit. Then he was in the helicopter, went down. He was lucky to be alive. Like it got bigger and bigger, and he actually fully believed it. But obviously, that's not ideal for a journalist, like quite a famous journalist
I
in
do know
America.
that, but also in this instance, that would be like that guy creating a fake video of him being hit by the rocket and saying this happened.
Yeah.
Assuming
I'm
isn't.
saying if it is a fake drawing,
I mean, it is,
which I don't know.
Yeah, the circumstances would seem a bit. They do feel a bit off. The dating of it as a child, but I mean, maybe that
Maybe so. I mean, kids could do that. Who knows?
it's possible. I'm sure I'd put dates on things at some point.
For sure. Yeah.
But yeah, it's weird that he would have reversed it. But so that red one, that is definitely what he submitted
That's what he
at
came
first.
up with first.
Right.
He didn't submit that first, but he showed people that.
Right.
So
that was a mistake.
very sus.
Yeah, and the exact things that Finger
Added.
suggested are the
Exact things that he had originally.
So,
I mean,
yeah.
Bill did suggest them, but I had already thought of them.
Exactly,
But
but I
it-
just didn't use them.
How do we know that Bill definitely suggested them? Isn't that just Bill's word?
Oh, yeah, I guess that's true.
So
I think what
Well-
we've done here is fallen for the trap of going with a guy with a much cooler name and just believing him. That's what I've done. Bill Finger. Sounds trustworthy, huh?
Yeah, right.
Bob Kane.
Ugh.
Yawn.
sounds like a politician.
Yeah, and I'm not voting for him.
Bill Finger. Got my vote.
Number one finger.
Yeah, in his autobiography, Bob Kane's autobiography, also he did eventually give again post the death of his friend. He did say, okay, yeah, you know what? He did actually corroborate. Okay, well, he added the cape and he added the thing.
It's also so brutal that they were friends and they worked so closely together. It's like, why not just say you're a team the whole time?
Yeah, exactly. Because but that's the thing. Like, I think definitely an ego thing, but also because so much of his whole persona
identity,
and his fame was, I'm the Batman guy, and to be like, actually, I'm only half the Batman guy.
We're the Batman guy, but that would be fun. It'd be nice. You'd be able to share it. It would actually be
Batman
better.
and Robin situation.
Financially, were they both very well off?
No,
Or-
no, Bob Kane definitely was. Bill Finger, not so much. Yeah,
See, that's sad.
yeah.
That's real strange. I just don't understand how you could do that to any, like even someone you don't like, but let alone your friend who actually
Yeah.
is responsible for your
Yeah.
success.
The long running rumor was that Bill Finger was in fact he was buried in a potter's field, which is a cemetery for people that don't have any family or money, so they just like an anonymous kind of grave situation. Yeah.
Do we know if that is true?
Well, we'll get to it later, maybe.
I love him. All this pre-sizzle.
Anyway, what else do you want to know
foreshadowing.
about Batman? Because so Batman, he was kind of a dark Avenger initially, and then he kind of softened up in the 40s. By the 50s, I think we talked about it on one of our other comic book episodes, but they introduced the Comics Code Authority in the 50s, which was basically like you can't be no blood and no death and don't anybody be mean to each other and whatever.
Yeah,
and
you
so
talked about this on the original Marvel
There we
episode.
go. And so I think that took some of the edge off. And so Batman, like the 50s, there was a lot of him dealing with aliens and space phenomenon. and what
Really?
have you. Yeah,
So how? Because in most of his on-screen worlds, that, as I understand it, they're basically real-world-ish. Like
Yes,
certainly the
exactly.
Nolan thing,
Yeah.
the TV show was just like it was a costume party, really.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But he does exist. Obviously, in the new movies, he's in an alien world.
Yeah, he's in the DC universe, which is full of, it's just lunacy, all of it.
And people, I mean, I'm jumping around, but the people love the Ben Affleck
Yes.
portrayal of him, right?
Well,
Or is it just the look of him?
I like the look.
Right.
I could take or leave the performance. I mean, it's fine, but it's, it's hard, I think, to emote and be a real character when all you can see is two eyes and a mouth
Yeah.
hole.
So it's more the Bruce Wayne that he's doing.
Yeah,
I guess.
right, exactly. Yeah,
But
yeah.
is there a thing about him using guns in that? And
Oh, he
was inconsistent?
There's a lot of killing in that.
Right.
There's a lot of, at one point he like hits a guy with a packing crate and then the guy cracks his head on the wall and there's a huge blood stain.
Yeah.
That guy's definitely dead. At one point he machine guns a guy wearing a flamethrower and the flamethrower blows up. And it was fun.
Don't wear a
Don't wear a
flamethrower.
flamethrower, exactly. It's a poor accessory. It's ridiculous.
yeah,
That's
don't
so
wear a
bulky.
flamethrower to
Yeah,
a
yeah.
knife fight. I've always said that.
Yeah, you have always said that. That's what your tattoo says, isn't it?
Yeah, first time it's almost made sense.
Yeah.
So that's the most recent one. It's probably not going to be him anymore, from what you've said every second week.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The
He's
Weekly Planet.
not super keen on that role.
There's that great footage of him in an interview about Batman vs Superman.
Oh yes.
And he is looking in the middle distance,
He's
looking
very sad to be there, yeah.
Oh, it's the best and worst.
Let's
thing
talk about
I've ever
happier
seen.
Batman times.
Yeah, okay.
So it got quite silly in the 50s. In the 60s, they were like, okay, let's lighten this character up again. They hired a guy called Carmine Infantino, who's a great artist, to redefine Batman's look. And so they made him, instead of this dark Avenger character, they lightened up his suit and they gave him the gold, the yellow bat symbol on his chest. They lightened up all the characters. And from that is the basis of the Batman TV series. Which,
Oh, so that was for comics.
that was for comics.
He got
first,
the
yeah.
yellow and stuff.
Exactly,
Oh, sick.
and then they were like, let's do this. Let's do this. TV series. Exactly, yeah. Which is a
Pow!
precisely
Dun, dun,
pow. Is
Oh, when
correct
did the
answer.
song come in? Was that for that show?
That was for that show. Yes. Do you mean the song? No,
Bam.
Batman.
Dun-dun-dun-dun.
Yeah.
Oh, it's really great. It's a great piece of
Bam.
music.
Bam. Yeah, it's sick. It'd have to be a 60s made song, I guess.
Yeah, and that's a series. Let me find. Actually, you know, we'll talk about Batman in film. I guess we'll start. So the first Batman film series was there was a 15-episode serial in 1943, which is super racist because it's World War II based, and so it's basically a propaganda film. And Batman is he's engaged by the government to defeat a villainous Japanese villain called Dr. Daka. It's pretty racist.
Dr. Daka, did he pull everyone's pants down?
Yeah, that's exactly right. That was his skill set, exactly.
Ooh. No.
Hey, wait, is that the noise you make when you're dacking someone
Yes.
or when you get dacked?
No, all right, I'll do the sound of dacking. You do the sound of being dacked. Ready?
Okay.
Ooh. Yeah, that's how it would have gone down.
That serial is also notable for creating the Batcave. That's the first appearance of the Batcave, and it's also that also defined the look of Alfred, because in the comic books he was quite a portly gentleman, and in the the serial, they made him quite
More Michael
trim and with a
Caine-y.
little mustachy, very Michael Caine, exactly. And that characterization was maintained for a while. There was also one in 1904. There was a serial called Batman and Robin in 1949, which is also terrible. Again, doesn't use any Batman villains. Uses a character called the Wizard. And that serial, I think, is most notable for they keep thinking that Batman and Robin are like, okay, we think the villain, we think the Wizard, we don't know his identity, but we think his name's Professor Hamill. But Professor Hamill's in a wheelchair, and the Wizard is not in a wheelchair, so it couldn't possibly be him. And then they go to visit Professor Hamill, and he's not in a wheelchair anymore, and it's never brought up. Nobody twigs. Nobody twigs. A little continuity error in the movies, but nobody.
In the movie, yeah, right.
Yeah,
What, do you reckon they just lost the wheelchair halfway through filming and they were like, no one will notice?
yeah, maybe that the rental period expired. They had to send it back.
Yeah, they are expensive. If you're going day by day, oof.
Yeah.
Batman TV series. Adam West, Burt Ward. I think a lot of people know the Batman characters. Matt.
Something, Burt Ward.
It's that was what the episode of The Simpsons with Radioactive Man movie is sort of based on,
Exactly,
right?
that's right.
Jiminy Jillikers.
Yeah,
I've said
exactly.
Jiminy Jillikers so many times, it's almost lost all meaning.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't forget to use your nails, boys.
And
The
that-
Scoutmaster is the worst bad guy ever.
And that the idea behind that series is basically, okay, we're going to create something that's super camp, and the adults watching will be like, this is stupid and ridiculous, but kids who don't get that campy aspect would just be like,
Yeah,
I
it was
love-
still
I love the
being
heroism,
regularly repeated in the 90s when I was a kid, and it was
same. Mhm.
I watched it. Yeah, on Saturday afternoons, I reckon I watched it a lot.
Yeah.
Very fun.
Yeah, the colour of it was awesome.
The shark repellent, bat shark repellent, and
Exactly
it just
right, yeah.
it became like a joke that he just had something for every scenario,
Exactly
and
right,
that
yeah.
is that the series that's only really existed in that series probably.
Yeah, kind of did, but what happened was because that series was initially very popular, they changed the character in the comic books to be more silly and campy. But then, of course, when the series popularity waned, all of a sudden
Bruce Wayne.
Oh, then the version in the comic books was the popularity of that also waned.
Yeah.
And people were like this.
Bruce. Well,
Yeah, thank you.
Thomas Wayne. The
let's
mum Wayne.
Martha.
In the 70s, Batman's popularity waned a bit. CBS, the TV station, was interested in producing a series called Batman in Outer Space. That never emerged.
Oh.
Sydney Scheinberg involved in
Thank
that?
you. I was thinking that.
Michael Uslan, who we mentioned earlier, was a big Batman fan. He purchased the film rights of Batman from DC Comics in the late 70s
Right, so he was the one that met Bill Finger
for the first
when he was
time.
a child.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
Yeah.
And so that didn't put him off, obviously, being a lifelong
Huge
obsessed.
Batman fan. No, he kept at it because he was just such a huge Batman fan.
And by this time, he's like a rich TV exec that can
Yeah, I
make
guess
these
so.
kind of...
Yeah, he actually wrote a script called The Return of the Batman to like shop around various
Return of the
Batman to like pitch to various film studios. Didn't really get anywhere up until 1989 when Tim Burton finally got the reins of the Batman movie franchise and made what I consider one very fun film. And
Edward
one...
Scissorhands, yes.
Exactly, Mr. Edward Scissorhands himself.
So you reckon the first one's really good and the second one he lost the plot a bit?
Well, Tim Burton only agreed to make Batman Returns if he got full creative control.
He Burtoned it.
He Burtoned it. He
Burtoned
totally
it to the ground.
He Burtoned it absolutely to the ground. But they were massive financial successes. And then he refused to do another one. They got Joel Schumacher to make
The race car driver.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
amazing.
Well, I mean,
It was high octane.
I mean, the movies weren't great, so maybe you should have stuck to the
track.
The track, exactly. Yeah.
Well, you live and learn.
You live and learn. Exactly. You do.
Which ones were these Schumacher films?
He wrote Batman. He directed Batman Forever.
The one
which
with
has
you two in it? Was that one?
That was Batman Forever. Yes, with Jim Carrey as the Riddler.
With you two in it.
And Seal.
Kiss from a Rose.
Yeah.
From Rose, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, okay.
And then he also
And,
directed Batman and
What
Robin,
U2 song?
which has
Fuck me, kill me, kiss me, fuck me,
Yeah, that's the one.
thrill me, and fuck me again. Oh, sorry, I forgot. Mesa said at the start he doesn't swear, and I've just been potty mouthing it up today. Sorry, Mesa.
No, that's quite all right.
And then Batman and Robin, that's
Batman and
the
Robin,
Mr. Freeze one.
Which is the one that famously killed the Batman franchise.
Because
for many
as a
years.
kid in the 90s, I thought they were freaking awesome.
Yeah, right.
I had the toys.
Which one's the one with DeVito?
That is Batman Returns as the DeVito as the Penguin.
Is that Cumble Cobblecock?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, the thing that you said. Yes, it
So
absolutely.
that's so
is
weird that he didn't. Because that's iconic, and that was also the Catwoman, right?
That was,
The
yeah.
second
Michelle
one?
Pfeiffer as the
So
Catwoman.
But that's a bad movie, but it has iconic stuff in it.
Controversial opinion. Not a fan of Michelle Pfeiffer.
Oh, what?
Yep, not a
Wow.
fan. Ugh,
Wow, I would argue she's gotten better as she aged.
Bit
better,
dull.
better actor.
bit dull.
So charming. Wow.
What are you
Bored.
basing that off?
Her films,
Oh, okay.
and also
But you've never even met her to.
my own
to
opinion.
make a proper
I'm saying
opinion?
as an actor.
Oh, as an actor.
I'm sure as a person she's delightful.
Oh, right, great.
I don't doubt that for a moment.
No, thank you.
I'd love to have a latte with her,
Mm.
soy or otherwise.
Really? You?
Almond milk?
No,
Okay, yeah, that's
Never
yeah, sorry,
almond
that was
milk.
ridiculous. I'm sorry. Yeah, so Batman and Robin had Clooney in the role.
Yeah.
I was so
Isn't that
as
weird
as, a
that-
as
kid,
Robin. Yes,
Yes, that's right.
That
Yeah, so I
seems so
love-
strange that George Clooney
Batman
has been
played
Batman.
by Paulie Shaw.
It was real close.
But I mean, I guess all of the Batman movie casting's been a bit weird. Like Michael Keaton, who was the first.
I like Michael
Batman.
Keaton.
Well, he was great, but he was not known for as an action guy. He was
Mr. Mom.
He was Mr. Mom. Imagine a man raising kids. Can you
What?
imagine it? Yeah, that
What
It was
a wacky
different time.
concept.
that was the humor that was derived from that movie.
What's
And
the one
was
where
in-
he clones himself?
Serendipity?
No, Multiplicity.
No,
Multiplicity.
Yeah,
That was good.
he did that afterwards. I think he was in Dream Team. He was in Beetlejuice. So he was like this comedic guy, and people were like, I don't know about this, but he carried it off for the.
Right.
I've always felt like he was a very, this isn't an interesting opinion because I think
really.
everybody says it. Isn't like he's quite underappreciated. Like he could have been. I reckon he could have been so much bigger.
Michael
He-
Keaton.
Yeah.
I think he's having a renaissance
Oh,
He
definitely is.
Yeah, for sure. Huh?
since the Birdman.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
the Birdman.
And he's the Vulture. He's
the
played
new-
quite a
he's in the
few
Spider-Man
men.
movie as
He's
well,
like
yeah.
the police sergeant in the other guys,
That's true. He is. Yeah,
and he also works at Bed Bath and Table in that.
that's right.
It's very
so
funny.
What? Has there ever been an on-screen Batman who the fans were happy with at the start? Like when it was
Val
announced?
Kilmer.
Oh yeah, where's Val come into this?
Val was
Mate,
in for
probably
one.
Bale. I think Christian Bale.
They were
was
happy
in
with that?
Yeah, I
Because
think
he
it
was really good.
Yeah, he brought an intensity to it, I think. Yeah. So Batman and Robin, George Clooney as Batman, he has famously said, I believe, that if anybody ever comes up to him and criticizes the quality of Batman and Robin, he just gives them their movie ticket price back. He will just give them the money back.
Really?
So,
So he just carries cash with him.
yes, well, he's just Hollywood
He just
celebrity.
carries $11.50.
He carries $11.50
Exactly.
at all times.
Yeah,
you go.
yeah.
One a day. He'll
But
do
I
one person a day.
I saw it at IMAX, Mr. Clooney. Shut up,
Oh,
kid.
come on, mate.
Because he was the one with the nipples as well, I think.
Yes, he was. Yeah, and a big bat bulge in the.
He's
in
the
crotch
only
region.
man with nipples.
No, bat nipples.
He's the only man with bat
Does
nipples.
he have like
Wait.
16 nipples?
They had the
Does George Clooney
in the
have
breastplate
16
had the
nipples?
hard erect nipples.
No, we definitely know what you mean. We're just fucking with you.
Oh, I thought you were talking about bat nipples. I was really with you there. Disappointed.
I'm sorry.
But yeah, so obviously they were critical. You said that killed the Bat franchise.
It was kind of critically
Because at the time,
Yeah.
as a 9-year-old, I
Yeah.
thult that it was so good.
Well,
You
sort of-
loved the
yeah.
nips.
Well,
yeah,
think-
I love
but-
this.
but
I had a
think-
Two-Face toy.
I think it was
I had
precisely engineered to appeal to kids because Batman. One of the flaws of Batman Returns was it was weird and dark and violent, and they couldn't sell any toys off it because it was just too.
Kids don't want any copper pots.
Exactly, it was kind of unpleasant, and so they were like, "Okay, bring back the campiness and bring back the color, and here's a new Batmobile that looks even fresher than the old Batmobile, and you got to buy the new Batmobile, and
which I did.
here's all the new Batman suits, and you got to buy all the Batman suits." So I think,
Which I did.
yeah, exactly. So I think kids loved it, but I think critically, no, people were not a fan. So
Yeah, I
they
think I
kind
have seen it repeated on TV as an
Yes.
adult and been like,
Uh-huh.
"Whoa, this is
Yeah, yeah.
really bad."
Have you got? What's the? I'm assuming I probably heard this story from you, but what's the story about? Tommy Lee Jones was in the same movie as Two-Face as Jim Carrey was the Riddler,
Oh,
and then
that's
they
right.
bumped into each other.
They famously did not get along because this was Jim Carrey was the Riddler during Batman Forever, and he was at peak Jim Carrey at that point, and I
Right.
guess he had to maintain the Jim Carreyness at all times.
Yep.
He's since relaxed
Mellowed?
he's mellowed a little bit, and Tommy Lee Jones was Two-Face, and apparently he only did it for his kids. His kids were like, "Why aren't you in one of those movies?" And he's like, "All right, I guess I'll do this." But apparently, just it was hell on earth for.
Well, they were both
for Tommy
trying to
Lee
be
Jones.
the biggest, craziest person
No,
on screen.
well, Tommy Lee Jones is just like, I'm going to do these lines and I'm going to get out of here, I guess.
I'm
But
Tommy
apparently-
Lee Jones.
But apparently during
bad.
during the filming, Tommy Lee Jones went out to just a restaurant when he thought no one would recognize him and it'd be very quiet.
Is he dressed as Two-Face?
No, he was just in his regular clothes.
No one would recognize him. He dressed as Two-Face. He walks in and everyone's just staring at him. He's like, God damn it.
And he just went and he's just like, I'm going to have a quiet dinner. I'm going to forget about this huge budget, whatever. And then Jim Carrey just rolls into the restaurant like in full Jim Carrey mode, probably with a weird entourage or whatever.
Brought me this. I want 2 baked
And
eggs.
he just came up to him. And he's clearly like, "Let's share a table. Let's get out of here. Let's have a big night together." And apparently, Tommy Lee Jones set him aside and went, "Jim, I cannot sanction your buffoonery. I hate. Please,
I cannot sanction.
Leave me alone." And I don't know if they get along. I don't know if they've gotten along since then. But,
This is one of the stars of Men in Black.
yeah,
Cannot
yeah,
sanction
exactly. That's right. Yeah.
your buffoonery. Yeah, and then he
I've got to
works
go make a film where I talk to a dog.
I think he's more talking about his off camera stuff. I think he was just so full on that he's like, I
All the
can't
time, yeah.
handle this, Jim.
I imagine it would have been really...
But the way
exhausting.
the phrasing of that is pretty amazing.
Yes, exactly right. That's
great
one of the
put
all-time
down.
great lines, I feel. Then, of course, Christian Bale, Christopher Nolan, Batman movies, great stuff. Big fan.
That wasn't the movie where they filmed him cracking it at the...
No, that's Terminator Salvation,
Right.
Which is a really weird movie to have an on-set meltdown
Right.
at. But
Did he invent the voice? The Batman voice?
I believe he did. Yes,
I'm Batman.
yeah, which is not.
You don't like
I
that?
don't like that. No, look, I like all those movies, but I don't love them.
Right. I love
that's
the
just one man's
second
opinion.
one.
Yeah, Heath Ledger does a fantastic performance.
And
as the Joker.
I do
Yeah.
like Liam Neeson
Yeah, for
in
sure.
the first one.
Yeah.
Now,
Who's
can I
Liam
ask...
Neeson?
He's an Irish actor.
I knew you'd fucking say that. Who does he play?
He sort of plays his mentor, kind of, but then it turns into a bad guy.
Is he like a samurai type?
he's the
I
Yes,
remember
he
Influenced
plays
man?
Oh, yeah, of course. Sorry.
Henri Ducard,
Yes,
who is
yes,
his
yes.
mentor, and then it turns out he's the villain Ra's al Ghul.
Yes, got
So,
it. Yep.
Incredible name there. But, Meso,
Yes.
you're not a fan of Christian Bale. We're going to ask you who you think the best Batman is or has been and your favourite film franchise.
Look,
movie, maybe?
my favorite Batman is actually not an on-screen Batman. My favorite Batman is Kevin Conroy. He's the voice of Batman in the Batman animated series.
Right. That
Which was a-
seems to be the most... Is that the one across from Luke Skywalker as Joker?
Yes, it is. Yeah. So that's basically on the heels of the first Batman movie. Warner Brothers were like, okay, here's a property, cartoon. Does anyone want to make a Batman cartoon? And there was a guy called Bruce Timm who had just come off Tiny Toon Adventures, and he was
great
like,
show.
I could do Batman as well. And so he went home and he did a stylized Batman sketch on his own this time, just him. And he brought it in, and they're like, actually, we really like this. And him and another writer-artist called Paul Dini, and they got together and they built this based sort of on the Burton universe, this sort of Gothic Art Deco universe Batman character, sort of this timeless version, and it sort of went bloody great guns. People remember that fondly because they weirdly they got enough freedom to be like, this is a show that adults can enjoy. Like kids should be able to watch it, but also it's dark enough and it's adult enough that
I think it was Saturday Cartoons in Australia.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I forgot. I said Luke Skywalker. I meant Mark Hamill.
Hamill,
He voiced, and he's often called the best Joker.
Yeah, so Kevin Conroy was a theater actor, and he was told that okay, if you want to make some extra money on the side, you should be a voiceover actor and just do ads and stuff like that. And he got a call up from his agent who was like, actually, we need some dramatic actors. So why don't you try this out? This was his first voiceover audition ever.
Wow.
And he got Batman, and he's been Batman for,
Is that
18
25
years?
Is it?
28, 30 years, nearly 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and he's been Batman in the animated series, and he's been in all the video games and all that sort of stuff. And Mark Hamill, originally the Joker was going to be Tim Curry. He recorded,
Love Tim Curry.
Now, which one is that, Matt?
Is he the guy that makes the musicals? Or
No,
is
that's
he...
Tim Curry, Tim Rice.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
Tim
it's
Curry, Tim Rice.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of... So Tim Curry is
The star of
Rooster
Congo.
from Orphan Annie. And
The star of Congo.
Exactly. He's Frankenfurter in one of the Rocky Horror
Yes.
Picture
And
Shows, yeah.
McHale's Navy, the
He's a-
remake with
Yes.
Tom Arnold. He's the bad guy in that.
Yes, that's true.
Great bad guy. One of the best.
So he recorded 3 episodes, and they were like, "This is good, but it's not quite what we're looking like." A lot of people came in and they just did their impression of the 1960s Joker,
Right.
and they were like, "This doesn't work." And they went, "Well, Tim Curry's good. We like him. He's good to work with, but he's not quite right." And then they brought in Mark Hamill to just do like a guest appearance. He was just going to be a side character briefly, and then they were like. And he said, because he loves that character, and he was like, and he loves Batman and comic books and all that sort of stuff. And he said, "Okay, if you have anything else going, just let me know, because I want to be like, I'd like to be in more episodes, because I think this is a great idea." And then Tim Curry, they were like, let's look for another Joker, and they called him in, Mark Hamill in, and he went in expecting to not get it because he was, he was best known as Luke Skywalker, and he's like, well, they're obviously not gonna get, this guy who mostly plays this paragon of virtue, this ultimate hero kind of thing. I'm obviously not going to get it, so he went in not caring whether he got it or not, or with no illusions that he'd get it. And they were like, "No, actually, you get this."
Wow.
And apparently he got it on the laugh,
Right.
because he had the best laugh.
That's how I go into every audition. Like, fuck this,
Not
whatever,
gonna
I
get
don't
it?
care.
Yeah, right. Uh-huh.
And it hasn't really worked yet, but
But when it does,
when it does,
you'll be laughing.
I'm
Just
gonna
like,
look so aloof and cool.
But also, you've been right every time, which is nice. Isn't that it's positive in a way that you're on a hot streak for calling it?
Oh yeah, I'm always
I'm
like,
not going to get
I'm not
this.
going to get this, and I don't care.
you
Yeah.
say that into the camera, and then you do
They're
your
like,
audition.
"Are you ready?" And I'm like, "Oh, what?"
I had an audition not too long ago for an ad, and before we started, I said to the guy, like, "I'm not very good." And he goes, "Why are you telling me that?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Just trying to lower expectations."
Way to sell yourself.
Yeah, I instantly regret it. I'm like, why did I come to
Have you
this
thought
place?
about perfecting your laugh? Maybe that'll do it.
I haven't.
So apparently Mark Hamill said, because he read a thing that Frank Gorshin, the Riddler, had once said, and he said, "It's not how I laugh, but it's what I'm laughing at." Like it's so you key the laugh to what you're laughing at.
Like a funniest home videos when
Exactly.
somebody gets hit in the nuts.
Yeah.
That's a different laugh.
It's a different laugh.
There's a sound effect like,
Yeah.
So he keyed that, and they were like, "Yep, you got it." And so he's also been he's been the Joker for nearly 30 years as well.
Right,
Yeah.
so that series is still running.
No, it's been different. So there was like 100 and something episodes of the original, and then there was like spin-offs, and then there was a series called Batman Beyond set in the future, and he was the voice of the old Bruce Wayne.
That's cool.
Because at one point they were like, "Hey, the studio went to these guys and went, hey, how the studio interference is always like, hey, could you make a series where Batman's a teenager?"
Right.
And they were like, "Yes, we can absolutely do that."
Bat teen.
And they're like, "Oh, well, that breaks the whole continuity." But then they just went, "Okay, well, how about original Batman's retired, and then we replace him with another Batman, and old Batman can be his mentor." And so they created that series. That's the.
They had a real can-do
They
attitude.
had a real can-do attitude. That's what it's all about.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, because so that's your number one, and that's your number one Joker as well, right?
I think so. Yeah. Oh, Heath Ledger is great.
Yeah.
That's my
Number
favorite
one.
villainous performance of all time. I
What
think.
about
Heath
number
Ledger
one,
Joker.
Catwoman, Anne Hathaway? I don't know how I felt about that performance. I was a bit like, eh.
Yeah, right.
Did Halle Berry have a crack?
She
Yeah,
did have
she-
a crack.
Oh, I'd go
In her
Halle
own
Berry.
movie.
in the solo movie, and there were three.
Would I go
There were
Halle
three
Berry?
Catwomen in the 1960s series as well.
Ah. Yeah. Okay. So
I'd give it a go.
yeah, you.
Meow.
Oh, you got the part.
You got it.
You really don't care if you get this or not. We love that. You got the
Meow.
part.
Yeah.
Just like a cat.
Yeah.
They don't care.
Yeah.
Cats don't give a shit.
They don't.
Meow.
Nice,
Whatever.
good, nice. Love it.
Whatever.
Yeah.
This sounds like a good Catwoman teen. Whatever.
Meow.
Anyway, maybe it's probably a good time to wind it up, because that's about all.
thank you so much, Mason.
Well,
And then- but-
I should probably wind it up. Bill Finger. What happened to that guy?
Yeah, what happened to Finger Boy?
This is where we introduce maybe just one more guy. He's a guy named Mike Taylor Nobleman. He's a children's author for the most part, but he also wrote a book about Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, the creators of Superman, and the sort of the trials and tribulations that they went through. And so he also learned about the story of Bill Finger, and he was like, he'd grown up on superheroes and Batman. He was a huge fan of that sort of stuff. And he was like, well, I think it would be good if Bill Finger could get some credit for the stuff that he put in.
And this is after Bill's.
This is why this is it.
Past,
This is
yep.
maybe this is the early 2000s.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow, okay, yeah.
And he was like, okay, well, the key here is to find out stuff about Bill, find some connect, because he obviously couldn't just go to DC and be like, hey, I'm a guy who has no relation to this guy. You should change some stuff. Of course, they're just going to show him the door, obviously.
So they'll
he's
probably write back their financial details in letter form.
That's right, exactly. No, they're wise. They've wised up now. They don't want to give the
They don't
game
write
away.
back to kids anymore.
Yeah. But basically, so he was like, okay, I've got to find some relatives, but nobody really knew anything about Bill Finger. First thing he found out, not Bill, Milton Finger. Much cooler name, obviously.
That is a sick name, Milton Finger.
But apparently he changed it because that's kind of a Jewish name, and apparently
Milton.
So he changed it for anti-Semitic.
Really?
People be a little prejudiced against him back in the day.
What a bummer. Yeah, it was a different time, but obviously, you couldn't have a cool name back then.
Yeah.
Bill.
Finger.
Yeah.
Finger love it.
Yeah.
Milton, though.
But it turned out, so Bill Finger, it was assumed he never had any serious relationships in his life. He never really talked about it. Nobody ever knew about it.
It was assumed. People looked at him and went, no chance.
Not this guy. Not this guy.
Single,
so he had,
virgin.
So he got married to a woman named Portia, and they had a son. And he's like, perfect. I'll talk to the son. But it turned out his son, Fred Finger.
Fred Finger.
Fred Finger.
No.
Exactly.
Freddie got.
Freddie. Yeah, exactly. But it turned out Fred was gay. And he died in 1992. So he's like, well, that's that. Okay, I can't do it.
Was the gay thing related to him dying in 1992?
Yes. it was, yes, related. We'll move forward.
Okay.
And so he's like, okay, well, I guess.
So that's the end of the family trail.
Well, he was like, well, that's the end of the family trail. But then he talked again to Charles Sinclair, his friend, the TV writer. And he was like, can you give me any information? And he was like, oh, actually, well, it turned out he didn't. He actually, after his Portia, he divorced him and passed away. He had a lady friend. He had another lady friend. And he looked up this person. And he actually had more than a lady friend. He had a second wife named Edith.
Everyone's assuming this guy's a virgin.
Yeah, I know, right?
And he's got wives everywhere.
He's got wives everywhere.
Like more than a friend, I would argue.
Yeah, a wife. Yeah, for sure.
I
And
reckon wives are on a different level.
Yeah. And she actually, upon the release of the 1989 Batman movie, she actually approached DC herself and said, I think it would be nice if Bill Finger could have some credit on these movies. But
Edith Finger.
Edith Finger.
That's a beautiful name.
And what did they say to Edith?
They said no. And he was like, okay, well, I guess that's it. I went through two wives and I couldn't find anything. But then he went back again and he went, okay, well, Portia passed away. I'll look at her obituary and I'll see maybe if there was some mourners who would know her or know anything about Bill. And he found two cousins on the obituary, survived by these cousins. And he called them up and he said, look, do you know anything about Bill Finger? And he was like, oh, Uncle Bill. Yeah, I mean, I know a little bit about Uncle Bill, but who you should talk to is his granddaughter. And he had a granddaughter. And Mark was like, well, obviously he didn't have a granddaughter because, he had a son named Fred and Fred was gay. So he couldn't have had a granddaughter. But Fred had a daughter.
Yeah, so gay people can have kids.
Well, turns out, actually he wasn't gay, he was bi. So he was a bisexual man. And he had a daughter named Athena.
Sick
Athena
name.
Finger.
So many good names.
Good names, right?
Edith Finger, Athena Finger.
Yeah.
Freddie Finger.
You've seen a finger?
Well, sure. Haven't we all?
Athena Finger.
So he had a daughter named Athena Finger who, there we go, it's good stuff, and who had grown up knowing a little bit about her grandfather and had sort of known that he had this hand in creating Batman, but it was this sort of thing where she would tell people, "Oh yeah, my grandfather created Bill Finger." Well, he did, but my grandfather created Batman. And people were like,
Finger.
obviously, no, he didn't. You're making this sort of stuff up. It was obviously Bob Kane because it always says Bob Kane. Blah blah blah. And so Mark went to Athena and chatted with her and said, "Look, this is kind of our last chance to maybe make a claim on this. If you want to get some recognition for your grandfather, maybe now's the time to do it." And so together they contacted DC. And they said, "Hey, can we get some recognition?" And they said, "Oh, welcome to the family. Great to have you here. Here's a check. Anyway, good to see you. Hey, come to some DC, come to some movie parties, come to a movie premiere. This is around about the time of The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, cool. Anyway, see you later, kind of thing. And then a few years later, The Dark Knight Rises came out, and they were like, hey, just checking in. It's still great for you to be part of the family. We've got some more money for you, but just letting you know, you need to sign this, and this will also give away all your rights to your father's recognition of creating the character. And so Mark encouraged her to not take that money and instead instigate a lawsuit against DC, which they did. But of course, it was a case of like one word against, Bill's word against Bob, and who created what, and what's the deal with the ownership here? How do you prove ownership? And Bob had said, well, he created some of this, and I created some of this. So what can you do? What's the figure? But so one thing that did work in their favor was that the guy Thomas Andre, who worked with Bob Kane on his autobiography, in order to transcribe it, had taped all his interviews with Bob, and he kept the tapes. And in one of the tapes, he asked Bob, just to be clear, how much contribution
in terms of like a percentage.
A
ratio.
Legally speaking.
If we were in court right now, pretend I'm a lawyer.
On the record.
And he said, as far as Batman goes, Bill was in 50 to 75%. So that was kind of the smoking gun.
Whoa.
So they talked to Thomas, and
50 to 75.
75%.
And this is from a guy who's not giving much away. That's 100%.
I don't know. And again, just as I guess once the tape's rolling, you sort of forget where you are, and he just put it out there. So 2015, Batman vs Superman came out, and in the opening credits it says Batman created by Bob Kane with Bill Finger. So at long last, and so now henceforth every piece of Batman media says that in it. So,
and is the granddaughter getting paid cash for everything?
I don't know. A settlement was reached, but it is
Athena Finger.
It is a private settlement, so we have no idea. Maybe one day we'll find out, but I don't know.
Athena Finger.
We've all.
So good.
Oh, I hope she's super wealthy. Wouldn't that be cool? You get called up, and be like, "Oh, Grandpa. Oh yeah."
Maybe it makes me really reconsider my.
Your family?
My negligence of those emails from that Nigerian prince.
Yeah, right?
Who said he created Batman.
Yeah, maybe I should get in touch. All I have to do is send him my bank details.
Yeah.
Oh, one last thing, just before I forget. So again, it was long suggested that Bill Finger was buried in a potter's field with no relatives, obviously, because there was nobody at his autopsy, etc. And so people were like, oh, it's probably.
Do people usually turn up to their family's autopsies?
Apparently they did, just to identify the body, etc.
All right, while you saw through their ribs, I'll just patiently watch.
But apparently, Fred Finger, who lived in Oregon, he wasn't there on that day of the identifying the body. Because he was in another state, but the day after, and that's why his name was not on the coroner's report. But he arrived the day later, and he got Bill's remains, his cremated remains, and he took them back to Oregon.
You're starting to get Batman voice.
I know a little bit. I've done a lot of talking.
Yeah.
And as far as the story goes, he went out to a beach in Oregon, and he drew a little bat symbol in the sand, and he poured the remains in there, and then it got washed out to sea.
Oh, that's nice.
It is nice, right?
That's weirdly what I wanted to do with my ashes.
With a bat symbol.
Yeah, if you guys don't mind.
Of course.
Of course I'll be there.
No,
because I will outlive you.
You absolutely will not. Matt, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I'll do that for you.
Thank you very much,
as
Matt.
the immortal.
There we go.
One of the show.
Two can play that game. The immortal game. I'll see you there in the year 2040.
Oh, it's so sad.
That's actually not that far off.
Not that far off.
Oh my god!
Please give me more time than that.
Please let me make it to my 50th birthday.
Okay, I will.
Thank you.
But just because you asked so nicely. That was so good, Meso.
That was awesome.
Stop it, you guys.
Thank you.
I'm sure I missed out on a lot of stuff.
Are you just riffing so much off the top? You have your notes there, but you're also just like going into stories and naming names.
Well, these notes are incomplete. That's how that happened.
Are there any So we've got your favorite Batman, your favorite Joker, and your favorite show. It's all the cartoon.
Yeah, I think so.
The first season of that or the first series? It's hard to go that specific.
Oh yeah, just Batman the animated series all up. It's one of the best.
That's so cool. Meso, this might be the first time you've been on the show when we've done the segment fact, quote, or question.
It is actually, yeah.
It's everyone's favourite part of the show.
Yeah, I've heard.
Where at the end of the episode, we take someone from our Patreon and they give us a fact, a quote, or a question. They also get to give themselves a title. This week, this guy could have been from this. His name's so good, it could have been from the Batman story. It's Maximilian Duke.
Oh, very good.
That is good.
Well, there is a villain called Maxi Zeus, who is he's just a guy who thinks he's Zeus. So
He thinks he's
Zeus. Yeah.
Okay.
He's not though.
Okay.
He's not the most popular villain.
And Batman is not going to let him get away with that.
No, absolutely. Why would you?
That just sounds like
Impersonating a
mental
Greek
health
god
issues.
is a crime in Gotham City.
Who's your favourite villain?
Ooh.
Maxi
I mean, you
Zeus?
said
Poison
Joker's your
Ivy.
favourite villain on screen, but in the comics and that.
It might be, it could be Mr. Freeze.
Really?
Who again he was a nothing villain initially, but speaking of the animated series, they gave him a tragic backstory in an Emmy award-winning episode of that series. They were like, okay, let's take this nothing guy and let's give him some real gravitas. So maybe, yeah.
Right, yeah, because it wasn't in the movie. He was sad because of something about his family or something.
His wife was cryogenically frozen.
Right.
And he wanted to find a way to cure the disease that was afflicting her. And
that's nice.
then the company he worked for shut down his procedure and also
Turned him into the Tin Man.
Turned him into the Tin Man, exactly. That's right. So he's committing crime so he can get the money and the resources to cure her.
Yeah, right.
So
Anyway, so Maximilian Duke,
either that or Kite Man.
Kite Man?
Yeah, one of those.
Does he fly kites?
He is a kite.
I don't know. Are you joking?
No. He's
That
He's
is-
not really a kite, but he's like his suit's like a kite.
Isn't a kite a type of bird?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Dave's the ornithologist of the pod.
Yes. Yes, I am.
And you're not going to answer my question, or
Yes, I am an ornithologist.
Okay,
I answered
right.
your question.
fact, quote, or question?
Maximilian Duke, he's given himself the title in-house counsel for bacon and unicorn affairs,
Ooh.
which is it's obviously a big role.
Yeah. The
bird.
internet is
That-
composed almost entirely of
That is
bacon
more than
and
full time. We're
unicorns.
actually looking to expand that to a 2-person role. So anyone get in contact if you would like to help out Maximilian there.
Any idea what that's a reference to?
Oh.
Bacon and unicorns.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, of course.
Dumb
it was right
shit.
in front of my face all along. And here is the in-house counsel for bacon and unicorn affairs, Maximilian Duke's fact, quote, or question, which is actually a fact, quote, and question all wrapped up in
How
one.
did he do
Wow.
it?
He says, here you go. Did you know that bunny farts smell like carrots? That's a quote from Jacob, his 8-year-old son.
That is so cute.
That's good, yeah.
It's a fact, a quote, and a question
That
all
is
in one.
true.
I hope they have a pet bunny, or it's weird.
I hope both of those things.
I mean, that seems factually inaccurate, doesn't it?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Probably does.
What if
Yeah,
the bunny doesn't eat carrots?
yeah. It's not all they eat.
But
Pellets.
you know when you vomit, there's always carrot in it? Huh?
Good.
I don't eat that much carrot. That's all I'm
I
saying.
love carrot because, as I mentioned, love veggies.
Carrots are one of my favourites.
Me
Helps see
too.
at the night time
Love
as well.
carrot.
I'm like a bit like old Batman guy. I say the night time, not night time.
Yeah, sick.
Another part of the show at the end of the show that we do as a part of the show at the end is another Patreon segment where we read out some patrons' names. Dave, you normally talk about the Patreon in some way. Maybe explain it to Meso as if he is a person.
Mate, so you haven't supported this show enough over the last few years.
Oh, come on, I'm trying.
No, that's not at all what I was hoping for you to do there. Meso's been the biggest supporter of this show.
Meso,
Meso.
it's time for you
Yes.
to get out of town.
Oh, wow.
You-
Jess has bought you a holiday.
Oh, thank you, Jess.
Yeah, just to say thanks.
Oh, my God.
You're going to Fiji.
You, of course, are now officially the 4th member of the group. And I think, is this officially the 8th episode of the podcast?
This podcast?
Yeah.
Well, no,
Not
because
8, is it
you
8?
did it. You guys did a live show without me, so
Oh.
yeah, can't believe you did that.
I'm so sorry
Brutal.
about that.
Sorry.
Sorry.
But you were in the room, so
I was in the
it's,
room,
it's
it's
weird
true,
that
yeah.
you were there
It's
and we
coming
made
out.
you watch
Yeah.
it.
coming out
weird.
next week, so you can imagine that Meso
Sorry.
was in that room with us.
He was big time. Anyway, so Dave, the Patreon, how does it work?
Basically, if you love the show and you want to keep us going, you can go to patreon.com/dogoonpod or click through it from our website, dogoonpod.com, and basically chuck a couple of bucks into an internet machine, and in exchange we'll give you some rewards, such as shout-outs like this kind of thing, or two bonus episodes per month.
Wow.
That no one else
And
except
or.
for the Patreons here. So lots of stuff in there. We also have a bit of chit chat, a bit of dialogue with our
Very
patrons,
good.
which is a bit of fun.
I
Yes.
refuse.
Did you say that we've got a Facebook group going now?
We have got a Facebook group going now, which is it's a lot of fun. A lot more of the chit chat going on in that group, which we are enjoying. So if you want to, get involved and support the show, that's what you do it. And we also like to thank a few people at the end of the episode, and we're going to do that right now.
Jess normally gives us a little game to play here. Maybe you could bring Meso into the game.
Hello.
I was thinking we could give them either like a superhero or a villain name.
Oh, villain.
Oh, make him a Batman
Yeah,
villain.
Batman has a very impressive rogues gallery. So.
Oh,
we
can
make him a
you
villain.
do you have 6 in you to give us one for each of our patrons?
Sure, like real ones, or let's invent them.
Oh, invent
I
it
think
even
we should
better.
invent them.
All right, great.
Yeah, I think I was inspired by Kite Man.
Yeah.
Is Carman real?
Yeah, he's real.
I thought I was going to get you.
No, he's real.
Kite Man's fake, right?
No, he's real.
Wow, yeah, I really
Yeah.
thought I'd
Yeah,
get
yeah,
him.
yeah.
I believe him now.
I do too. All right, I'll kick this off. I'd love to thank from the Great Britain, did not mean at that time, from Sheffield in South Yorkshire, which I think is not too far from where Mr. Michael Kane is from. And
In that he's from Great Britain somewhere.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
His name's Maurice
Hello, I'm Maurice Kane.
Micklewhite. Anyway, I googled that earlier. Who are
I
you
thought
thanking?
I thought it'd just come to you, which was very impressive.
I mean, it came to me.
This is such a great English name as well. I love to thank Alexandra Rogers Brussington.
Ooh, I like that.
Oh, Brusington.
And she would be the villain.
We could do this.
Yeah.
We've done this before.
The way you exhaled there made me think maybe she could be the breeze.
Oh, London fog.
The London fog, that's cool.
Ah,
Yes, the London fog, I like that.
I like that.
What is her modus operandi?
She drives a scooter. Drives a little scooter. She's very mod. You know, like those mod types. She's got a scarf and a scooter.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
she's literally a fog.
And she's a fog also, yeah. Yeah.
That's so good. She has a foghorn on her moped.
what does that sound like, Matt?
Nice.
Hello.
I never thought I'd be in the room when the man of 1,000 noises did
Well,
one of his
Yeah.
famous noises.
Yeah,
Yeah.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Sorry, I feel like I should have given you more there.
No, that was great. You give me what you give. Has anybody calculated how many noises you have left to do?
No.
I hope somebody can figure that out.
Yeah, there's
Get on that, you nerds.
Yeah, come on, nerds.
You know the person that might be able to do that? If they've been, I imagine, sitting there for 2 hours waiting for me to thank the person that has been adding up the questions and who's answering
the
them
show's
most.
official scientist.
That's right. I can say I've answered 32 questions correctly. I used to be in second now, and Jess used to be last, but that has flipped.
Get
Tables have turned.
fucked.
Wow.
Matt has answered 37 questions correctly. Jess, 38.
You're on a hot streak.
But
Just
winning
so.
the day is 44 times nobody got the correct answer. And
Yeah,
that is
that's
thanks
Wait, no, actually, the fourth member's Meso, so I guess that...
44 for Meso.
Yes.
And that is thanks to Bob. That's what he signs off as. Or his email name is Belbinder Bhatia. So thanks
Do you
to
think it
Bob or
could be
Belbinder Bhatia.
Could be Bob Kane?
Bob Kane.
Maybe Bob Kane can work out the 1,000 Noises as his next project.
I'm genuinely shocked by that. I don't think I ever get them right.
Well, I would argue you about 38 times you do.
But I'm only one above you. Now I'm
What was the
gonna
Patreon's
keep you
name?
down.
Sorry.
Bob.
Oh, so that wasn't a patron. That was Belbinder Bhatia.
Oh, congratulations.
Official statistician of the show.
Or Bob. Or Bob.
I'd love to thank another Great Britain from
London fog.
Hertfordshire,
London fog 2.
Adam Stamford.
Oh.
Adam Stamford.
Is there a badger? The badger?
I don't think there is a badger.
What made you think of that?
It's one of my favourite English animals.
Okay.
The badger. And apparently they are bloody vicious.
All right.
Okay, I like it.
They bite you.
Yeah.
The bloody badger.
Well, they don't let go.
The bloody badger.
The bloody badger.
That sounds like a good pub too.
How does he get around?
Just dig.
By his teeth.
Yeah. hmm
So his headquarters is a pub,
Yes, I think so.
and what does he do? He just gets around in a black cab.
Yeah.
And his day
yeah.
job is the manager of the pub.
Whoa, but by
Whoa.
night he's a bloody badger.
He's got a badger cave.
And at night he
the
cleans
pub.
up vomit from the pub.
Yucky.
Exotic.
He's a publican, is what he is.
And what does he do with that? Does he use that to get Batman back?
Yeah, basically. Well, he fills a pool with it and he's trying to lure Batman into the pool of
Oh,
vomit.
wow. I don't think that's going to work.
Well-
Badger's not very good at this.
No, but he's very good at balancing the books.
Oh. Hey, can I thank some people?
Yes, please.
Thank you so much. A little more locally now, I'd like to thank someone from Sydney
Oh, Sydney fog.
in
Sydney,
New
Australia.
South Wales, which is in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to thank Lucas Reynolds.
Ryan's cousin.
Mm-hmm.
What's he's the Deadpool, and he's also a Green Goblet.
Correct, yes. Mm-hmm.
So maybe he could be the Dead Goblet.
Death Goblet.
Death Goblet. If you take a sip out of him, you die.
Wow.
Death
That's
Goblet.
wild.
Ma-na-na-na. He's very rock and roll.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, good
I
on you,
loved it.
Lucas.
What do you think about how does he get around?
Probably on a tray.
On a tray.
Probably in a tray. Moved by a
Oh,
waiter.
like a floating tray. Oh, he's got a waiter that carries him around. A
Yeah.
giant.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's sick.
Isn't he a goblet? He's a goblet.
He's a goblet.
Okay, right.
He's a goblet.
He's a goblet.
He's a goblet king.
How dare you? He's a goblet.
The man's a goblet.
Thank you to Lucas.
We didn't leave you much to do there, but the tray was a beautiful little
Thank you.
bit of colour.
Can I also thank from Brisbane
Yes.
in Queensland
Ah.
in Australia?
Where's Australia? On the earth?
I'm not the geography one, so I
Okay.
can't confirm nor deny that. I'd like to thank Ryan Ginnivan, the gin slinger.
Oh. Also a bartender.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is he in cahoots with the bloody badger?
But they're
If anything,
rivals.
they're rivals.
They're rivals.
exactly. They're rivals, yeah.
That's something I don't understand. Are the bad guys they're not necessarily in a team.
No, very rarely.
Do any of them hate each other?
All of them.
Really?
Constantly.
So
Well,
they
they're all
hate
fighting each other too.
Yeah.
Batman's just trying to stop everyone fighting.
Yeah.
I assume
He's
they
like,
were
"Stop
all.
it."
No. Don't get me started on the war of jokes and riddles.
Oh, wow.
Where is that on
That's a
paper
whole
or
It's
in?
on
episode.
paper, yeah.
Wow, that sounds sick.
Is that basically Tommy Lee versus
Yes,
Jim Carrey?
exactly right.
I will not stand. No, it was better than that. Damn it! I really should. I want to be able to lock down that phrase and use it one day on someone unsuspecting.
You'll use it on me. I can feel it.
Can you give it to me one more time?
Oh, I can't sanction your buffoonery.
I can't sanction your buffoonery. So good.
What did Jim say to that? What did he say?
Who
What does he
knows?
say? He just
Probably
said,
just did
Did
a
a
cartwheel.
voice.
Yeah.
Did a voice?
"Oh, riddle me this, Tommy."
Showed his butt.
Also, Tommy Lee Jones doesn't strike me as the type of guy who wants to go by Tommy. You know?
It's interesting.
Should be
right?
like Thomas.
Yeah. Do you think there was another Thomas Lee Jones already in the treading the
No,
boards?
I don't think that. Dave, would you like to thank
All
some
right,
people?
let me bring us home with a couple of beautiful names here. This is another local.
They better be beautiful, you son of a
Even
bitch.
more local. Well, this is a beautiful name. From Fitzroy, right here in Victoria, I'd like to thank Jade Bland.
Oh, that is so
Jade
good.
Bland.
I love it. Not too showy.
Love that.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Humble
much, Jade.
pie.
Oh.
Maso, you got a name?
I think Jess just said
Oh, humble pie.
Humble pie.
That sounds like a genuine Batman villain, I reckon.
The humble pie.
The humble pie.
What are they getting around on?
Bike.
Oh, yeah, that is humble.
Yeah.
And it's got a
the-
little
Fine.
basket in the front where they
Yeah.
keep the pies that
And-
they throw at you, and they're very hot.
Oh, this is hot humble pies.
Hot, humble pies.
It's sort of, but not poisonous or anything. Just
Just hot.
Like steaming.
Just really hot. Burn your face a bit.
Wow.
But not like 3rd degree, but like enough that you'd be like, ow.
First degree.
Should we
know? give
give this last one to Maso, Dave?
Oh, I'm ready. Okay. Where's this last
No
one?
worries. I thought you were going to snap your
Oh,
laptop
this
there.
is
Yeah,
he's
that would've
from
been awesome.
He's from Greensboro, but not the one in the northern suburbs of Melbourne that I've been to many a time, but the one in Greensboro, North Carolina. Dean Clark.
Hang on, Dean Clark Kent.
Yeah. Wow.
Dean Kane. Clark Kent.
Oh my goodness.
Ripley's, believe it or not, host Dean Kane Clark Kent.
I believe it.
I love how he'd always end that show with "believe it." Never, he didn't say the "or not" bit. It was like,
He should have finished with "Believe it or not, I'm walking on." Every
that's how it
time,
went.
Dean Kane.
Hey, there's a factor I know about his home state of North Carolina. If we do have time for it.
I'm always up for a fact. I love him.
Love facts.
So
Love to learn.
do you guys know basketball?
I know of it.
I also know of it, yeah.
Yeah. So there's this goat who plays basketball called Michael J. Jordan, and he
What's the J stand for?
Justice, and he
Can you imagine?
yeah. Anyway, so he
Fastest he's ever improv.
Yeah,
he's
amazing.
very
We set this up hours ago.
he is a very he was the greatest goat of all time at basketball game, and he used to go to study school in North Carolina, and
Used
they
to
would
go to study school.
yeah, big time.
Wow.
Sounds like
He
a
hit
very
the books.
studious student.
Yeah, he was. He studied hard, and
Did
he
he play hard?
partied hard on the basketball court. And when he partied dunks, basketball dunks. And he
Matt,
the
are you
dunks?
okay?
and anyway, like long story short, he would not take off his pants. Despite moving interstate to Chicago,
He was a never nude.
the Windy City, he was never nude. He wore his blue denim cutoffs underneath his Chicago Bulls shirt and pants. Even
Under the shirt.
yes,
Wow, so
Wow.
they're high riders.
High-waisted. very
high-waisted, yeah.
Wow.
It
The overalls, they're overalls.
It was the 80s and the
Wearing
high
those-
waist was in. They're back now, sure, but they were still there then. And he went on to play more games in denim than anyone ever did again.
That's a great fact.
Again, yeah. It's a little riddle that I like to call fun fact, Jess.
Now, let me just say that Dean
will
Clark
will
Kent
you do me the honours?
is still-
Fun.
Dean Clark Kent is still sitting there thinking, what superhero name are we going to give him?
The double denim.
Ooh. Double down, all right. You're going to have to flesh that out a bit, Meso.
The double D.
Oh.
No, don't.
I mean, you
no.
did that was the opposite of fleshing it out. That was
The double. The dub.
Yeah, the dub. The dub.
stop. He's fading away.
T.
Dane, stay with us. Dane.
So many options there, right? Each better than the last. So
Double denim has denim everything. His
Yeah.
gun, denim.
denim gun. Yep, nice.
But
car.
he has 2 denim guns.
Denim.
Two
Two cars.
denim
Oh,
cars.
he's like Two-Face's son.
Yes.
But he doesn't have the scars, but he wants to impress his dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So double
got 2.
everything. So and then he opened up. He was like, criminals are a superstitious, cowardly lot, and he opened up a GQ magazine, and they were like, double denim's back, and he's like, oh, double denim.
Denim. That seems like a sign.
Yeah,
A
okay.
superstitious sign.
That's right. So he's double denim now.
That's a great origin story. I love an origin story that is opening up a magazine.
Yeah, right.
And going, yes.
Yes. Perfecto.
Yes.
Oh, Wow magazine? Is that what-
It was a wow magazine. And that's a nicer magazine.
That's so good.
Well, I think that just about brings us to the end of this podcast. Maybe the greatest ever. I think this is our goat. Meso,
I'm never taking these shorts off again.
it's so nice for you to come in here and spend so much time on the report. We are super lucky to have you in. The few people who do not know your fine work on the internet as the internet celebrity, where can they find you?
They can find me at the podcast The Weekly Planet, where we talk about mostly Batman, if I'm honest with you. just endlessly.
They will
doesn't
also,
stop.
and they'll recognize you from the start and the end of our podcast.
Oh, that's right, yes.
And
Uh-huh.
also the
The
whole
part that I skip, yes.
the Planet Broadcasting is named after you. You are
I'm a planet, yes.
a planet.
Is that
You're a
planet-
star.
is that a planet
Yes.
called broadcasting?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, go to planetbroadcasting.com.
Wikipedia Brown.
It says at the start of the episode.
Your
For more
Instagram.
podcasts from our great mates.
Thank you, Jess.
Oh,
Again, I skip
whatever.
it. I skip it. I
Yeah,
don't like
me
hearing my own
too.
voice.
It's
Thank you,
yuck.
Jess. It is yuck.
Your Wikipedia Brown Twitter's great, but your Instagram, that's where the action's
I'm
at.
doing an Instagram post right now.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah,
So
live,
if you want to
live.
see this next week or see last week now in the present when you're listening to this,
Yep. Mhm.
you can look up at Nick
Meso, Nickmaseau.
Bloody.
Bit of a
nailed
mistake. Have to spell it out every time.
No regrets.
No regret. One regret.
Okay.
Yeah.
If-
You gotta have one.
You gotta have one.
You gotta have
exactly.
one.
You gotta have one.
Can't live a no regrets
Mine's
life.
killing that guy.
Oh,
anyway, see you next week.
Waiters. So something I've been told recently, something podcasters are meant to do is say, please give us 5 stars on iTunes. I'd really appreciate that. Mate, so you've got a real great spiel at the end of your podcast where you just nail everything. I should listen to that and
we
change
miss
the
it-
words.
I miss it every time. I always
Really?
forget. We've got so many things at the end. We've got to thank so many people and plug so many things. I always forget one thing.
Oh.
At least one thing.
Well, I forget most things.
Ooh.
Dave, have I forgotten anything?
Oh, if you
Pants.
Oh my God.
don't worry, I'm wearing 2.
How
Pairs.
does that help me?
You can take one off.
But basically, there's 2 pieces of fabric
Yeah.
between my genitals and yours, and I'm happy about it.
That's almost a Seinfeld reference.
Okay, well, my jockey boys. Now, if you
My boys need a home, Jerry.
want to get in contact with us, go to dogoonpod.com, follow the links to our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube channel. It's all / or at dogoonpod. Get on that. And dogoonpod@gmail.com if you want to get in contact. The other thing you can do at the website is, of course, suggest a topic. Always open. That is a 24-hour hotline, baby.
That's dogoonpod.com/submit-a-topic.
Probably /
I write that out on Twitter a lot.
Nice. Great. Good stuff.
And yeah, of course, Matt and I, our other pods are out now. Primates. What's happening this week on the Primates pod?
Primates this week will be featuring DJ Levins, and we're talking about the band Gorillaz.
Oh, how cool is that?
Yeah, heaps of fun.
I'm interested in hearing that. Fan of their music. And Book Cheat, my new podcast, is up and about. And the episode that I just released this week features Jess Perkins over there. Hello.
Oh, now I'm interested.
Yes.
I zoned out of this conversation because it wasn't about me.
You're in. And also you're on with Naomi Higgins from the Batch Bitch podcast.
So good. Great show.
And I told you all about, we cheated the book, The Great Gatsby.
And I've already forgotten it, so I look forward to listening to that podcast again.
That's the first time. So yeah, get in contact.
I should also
check that
say,
out.
Dave, that the episode of Primates that just came out features you, Mr. DW, and we talked about the Marvel Comics Marvel Apes, which is a sweet series of parallel universe comic capers in a world where all the superheroes are primates.
It's like a
Matt,
dream universe for you.
may I please also point out that Dave is wearing a t-shirt with bananas on it?
He is. It is making me horny.
Matt,
I was mid-sentence, not sure if I was going to complete it, but I bloody did. Mm-hmm. And I regret it. No doubt
No,
about
you'd
that.
regret not saying it more, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
so-
It's the times you don't say you're horny. You miss 100% of
Yeah.
the shots you don't say you're horny.
Matt, let me just say,
Michael Jordan.
I just
Michael J. Jordan.
I cannot sanction your buffoonery.
I appreciate it. That's a
Oh.
beautiful way to finish the show.
Thanks again, guys. We'll be back with another episode next week. But until then, I will say thank you and I will say goodbye.
Laters.
Bye.
Meso.
What a catchphrase.
I know, right?
Meso.
This podcast is part of the Planet Broadcasting Network.
Visit planetbroadcasting.com for more podcasts from our great mates. I mean, if you want. It's up to you.